Chapter 2873. At Jiyu Zhong's level of cultivation, it wasn't difficult for him to create the primal chaos heaven-covering palm. Although he cultivated metal elemental energy, he was Jiyu Fei's disciple and had the ability to transform metal elemental energy into primal chaos energy. However, Jiyu Zhong did not take the path of Jiyu Fei. He felt that if he cultivated the power of metal to the extreme, he could also become the strongest existence in the world. For Jiyu Zhong, his master's path was his own. It was unique and could not be copied. The path that he walked was also unique. Rumble, the heavens and earth shook. The chaotic sky-covering hand that Jiyu Zhong evolved displayed the strongest power. It directly sent the ancient black-armored demonic soldier flying thousands of miles away. Swoosh! Just as the ancient black-armored demonic soldier was sent flying, the spear in the demonic soldier's hand turned into a demonic light and pierced towards Jiyu Zhong. Clang! Jiyu Zhong sent out his left palm, which collided with the demonic light that had pierced through the air. The demonic light formed by the battle spear was sent flying. Roar! The ancient black-armored demonic soldier that was sent flying by Jiyu Zhong roared and directly rushed back from afar. He grabbed the spear and directly stabbed it towards Jiyu Zhong. Chimph! Jiyu Zhong sneered. He took a step forward and rushed forward to fight with the ancient black-armored demonic soldier. At this time, Little Qing was also fighting with the ancient demonic soldier that was covered in black scales from head to toe. Dragon Claw! Xiaoqing roared and stretched out his right hand. A green dragon claw immediately rushed out from his hand and slashed towards the demonic soldier. The terrifying great sage-level dragon power surged from his body. The void was directly torn by the green dragon claw. The powerful true dragon power shattered the void. Ha ha, come on. The demonic soldier laughed and actually transferred the spear in his right hand to his left hand. Then, he stretched out his right hand and grabbed towards the green dragon claw. A pitch-black demonic claw rushed out of the demon soldier's hand and instantly collided with the azure dragon claw, causing a muffled sound. Afterwards, the two powers collided, forming a destructive storm that swept out in all directions. Wherever the power passed, the void was silently annihilated. Roar! At the same time, Xiaoqing let out an earth-shattering howl at the ancient demon soldier opposite him. A terrifying sound-killing power spread out. Following the dragon's roar, a series of black spatial cracks appeared in the void in front of Xiaoqing. It was as if an exquisite piece of porcelain had suddenly been shaken into countless cracks, and could break into countless pieces at any time. Ah! The ancient demon soldier screamed as he was sent flying by Xiaoqing's azure dragon roar. Cracks appeared on his ancient black armor, and black blood seeped out of his 7 orifices. Azure dragon roar! High up in the sky outside Wanxiang City, the old demon general riding an old horse saw this scene and a cold glint flashed across the depths of his turbid eyes. The azure dragon roar of the Dragon Clan was a battle technique created by the legendary Tai Huang. In the distant past, the Tai Huang was definitely one of the most powerful existences in the Jiutian Shidi. Back then, the Tai Huang could instantly kill hundreds of thousands of demons with a roar. Even the powerful demon ancestor would be severely injured by his roar. Of course, the current Xiaoqing was not the Tai Huang of the past. However, the power of the azure dragon roar was not to be underestimated. Under Xiaoqing's roar, not only was the demon soldier sent flying, but even his soul was almost shattered. Xiaoqing took a step forward and instantly disappeared from where he was. In the next moment, he appeared in front of the ancient demon soldier and smashed his rod down on the ancient demon soldier's head. Bang! The black rod smashed hard on the ancient demon soldier's head. The demon soldier's head was smashed into a black blood mist and dissipated in the void. What, in the distant sky, the old demon general riding on the old horse was startled. Unable to remain calm, he abruptly sat up straight and a frightening blood-red light appeared in his eyes. A terrifying demonic aura spread out from the body of this old demon general, and even the heavens changed color. At this moment, even the other ancient black-armored demon soldiers were shocked to the extreme. They looked at the scene in disbelief. The headless corpse of the ancient black-armored demon soldier whose head was smashed by Xiaoqing fell from the sky and was about to smash into Wanxiang City below. Swoosh! At this moment, a flame rushed up from below Wanxiang City and turned into a divine phoenix. It instantly pounced on the headless corpse. Boom! The divine phoenix exploded and turned into a ball of divine phoenix divine fire. The headless corpse of the ancient black-armored demon soldier was instantly burnt to ashes. Not even a drop of demonic blood fell into Wanxiang City. Ancient black-armored demon soldiers who lived from ancient times to the present were extremely powerful. Even in death, their bodies still emitted a mighty demonic aura. Living beings below the sage level could not withstand the demonic aura. If the headless corpse of the ancient black-armored demon soldier was smashed into Wanxiang City, the consequences would be severe. Countless mortals would suffer from it. How is this possible? The old demon general muttered to himself. These demons were old soldiers who had followed him to conquer the world. They had survived thousands of battles and survived until now. These 100 soldiers were definitely terrifying demons. But now, one of them was smashed to death by a rod. The old demon general could not accept this. Roar! The old demon general roared to the sky. The entire heaven and earth shook along with his roar. Even the light shield formed by the great city defense formation of Wanxiang City shook. That rod! The old demon general stared at the inconspicuous black rod in Xiaoqing's hand. He had really misjudged it. This black rod was not simple at all. It could actually smash an undying demon soldier to death. Haha, martial uncle, you are so fierce. You killed one with just one move. This is great. Look at these guys acting so arrogantly, but they are nothing more than this. In the distant sky, Ji Yuzhong laughed and said while fighting against the ancient black-armored demon soldier with 2 horns. Damn it. The ancient black-armored demonic soldier who was fighting with Ji Yuzhong was both shocked and angry. This human was very strong. Although he was only a saint emperor, his battle strength could be said to be abnormally strong. He was even stronger than a great saint expert. This was the rhythm of being invincible in the same realm. This human must not be left alive. If he became a great sage or even a saint venerable, he would be a great threat to the demons. Great Tao demon body. The twin-horned demonic soldier roared and an extremely powerful demonic power surged out of his body. A huge figure appeared in the sky. Rumble, the heavens and earth shook. Even the great Tao of the heavens and earth was crying out, being suppressed by this demonic power. This, looking at the figure that was as huge as a mountain, Ji Yuzhong was dumbfounded. So big. Ji Yuzhong exclaimed. The ancient black-armored demon soldier stretched out his hand and grabbed at Ji Yuzhong as though he was catching a fly. I know this move as well. Behold, my heaven and earth body. Ji Yuzhong's body swayed and instantly turned huge. His head reached the sky and his feet stepped on the ground. His body shone with an endless golden light, as though he was a golden celestial being from the ancient times. An extremely strong aura spread out from his body. Demons aren't the only ones who know this kind of body technique. Yours truly knows it too. Yours truly wants to see if your great Tao demon body is stronger or yours trueless heaven and earth body is stronger. As Ji Yuzhong said this, he charged forward and struck out with the strongest metal element fist. The metal element fist was a martial art battle skill that Ji Yuzhong had been practicing ever since he became Ji Yufei's disciple. Although this battle skill was simple, it could turn something rotten into something magical. Ji Yuzhong punched out with his fist, causing the heavens and earth to tremble as the void exploded apart. A destructive aura permeated the entire world. This was especially so now that he had unleashed his heaven and earth Dharma body. That golden fist of his was akin to a gigantic golden mountain that smashed out. Little brat, you're too arrogant. I'll let you know what an invincible body is. The ancient black-armored demonic soldier with 2 horns on its head roared angrily. It also punched out, clashing head-on with Ji Yuzhong. It was extremely powerful and had no intention of retreating. Or, it could be said that this ferocious demon had never thought of retreating. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion resounded in the sky above Wanxiang City. After that, 2 incomparably huge figures were sent flying backwards. The sky exploded as a ripple that could be seen with the naked eye spread out. Wherever the ripple passed, the sky was annihilated. Seeing this scene, the demon general on the old horse could no longer sit still. The strength of these two fellows had exceeded his expectations. Kill every living thing in the Wanxiang city. Don't leave a single one alive. The old demon general roared. From his point of view, all the living things in the Wanxiang city could not be compared to the ancient black-armored demon soldier that was killed by Xiaoqing with a single strike. One should know that in the entire eastern region Devil's Den, there were not many demon soldiers that could survive tens of thousands of battles. It was already very rare for a demon soldier to survive hundreds of battles, let alone tens of thousands of battles. In the entire eastern region Devil's Den, there was only one ancient black-armored demon soldier under the command of the old demon general. This was a force that could influence the entire eastern region. Kill. The 98 ancient black-armored demon soldiers roared at the same time. Their voices shook the 9 heavens. A terrifying killing aura spread out from the ancient black-armored demon soldiers. This was a demon soldier that truly came from the ancient times. When they formed a battle formation, even Saint Venerables would have to retreat. Their combat strength was unimaginably strong. The 98 demon soldiers raised their demon spears at the same time and stabbed forward. Boom! The light shield in front of them immediately exploded. The phalanx formation formed by the ancient black-armored demonic soldiers charged into Wanxiang city. Kill to your heart's content and enjoy the feast of souls. Chapter 2874. When the phalanx formed by the ancient black-armored demonic soldiers charged forward, the light barrier formed by the defensive power of Wanxiang city was instantly torn open. The black-armored demonic soldiers charged into Wanxiang city. Rumble. The heavens and earth shook. The terrifying demonic aura disrupted the laws of heaven and earth, causing countless living beings in Wanxiang city to be extremely terrified. The city is breached. The Iron Blood Daoist, who was standing in the sky above the city lord's mansion, couldn't help but change his expression upon witnessing this scene. He never expected that the great city barrier formation that could block a sacred venerable would be as fragile as a piece of paper in front of these demons. The Iron Blood Daoist knew that the demons that invaded this time were not ordinary. They were different from those in the past. These demons were even more ancient and terrifying. There was no doubt that the ancient demons were powerful. Kill to your heart's content. The old demon general rode on his old horse. At this moment, he seemed rather agitated. A murderous aura that caused all living beings to tremble spread from his body. His eyes emitted a blood-red radiance that could even make a saint's heart palpitate. However, Xiaoqing and Ji Yuzhong didn't seem to be that worried. Ji Yuzhong displayed his heaven and earth Dharma body and fought with the ferocious demon in the sky above Wanxiang city. Roar! The ferocious demon roared. A dozen large stars near it instantly exploded. With a single roar, even Ji Yuzhong couldn't help but frown at the ferocious demon's demonic aura. Moreover, this ferocious demon was only one of 100. Apart from the ancient black-armored demonic soldier that was smashed to death by Xiaoqing's rod, the remaining 98 ancient ferocious demons had all charged into Wanxiang city. Even the old demon general rode his bony old horse and charged into Wanxiang city. Ignorant living beings, go to hell. The old demon general stretched out his hand and grabbed downwards. A terrifying suction force immediately spread from his hand. However, what surprised the old demon general was that not a single human flew out from the city below. How is this possible? The old demon general was shocked. If it was in the past, with just a stretch of his hand, the souls of countless living beings would be extracted from their bodies and then fly towards his hand. They would fall into his hand and be refined by him. For the demons, the souls of all living beings in the world were definitely great supplements. They could help them improve their cultivation. The more souls they devoured, the stronger they would be. At this moment, the 98 ancient black-armored demonic soldiers had already charged down from the sky and were about to reach Wanxiang city. Damn it, retreat quickly. The old demon general seemed to have thought of something and his expression suddenly changed. He roared and rode the old horse as if it was on fire, wanting to rush out. The 98 ancient black-armored demon soldiers paled when they heard this, and they hurriedly charged into the sky. However, at this moment, Transparent ripples appeared in the void without any warning, and a gigantic antique appeared from Wanxiang City below. A heaven-devouring power surged out from the mouth of the cauldron and swallowed the 98 ancient black-armored demonic soldiers into the ancient cauldron. Rumble, the ancient cauldron shook, and the entire world seemed like it was about to shatter and then be swallowed into the cauldron. Pitch-black spatial cracks appeared in the void like black lightning. A wave of chaotic primordial chaos chi surged out from the ancient cauldron. The 98 ancient black-armored demonic soldiers that were swallowed by the ancient cauldron all exploded in the air in terror, turning into clouds of black blood mist. Roar! The old demon general almost went crazy when he saw this scene. At this moment, the ancient cauldron directly rushed out from Wanxiang City. The mouth of the cauldron swallowed the primordial chaos energy of all living beings, and a powerful devouring power instantly enveloped him. It had to be said that the old demon general was truly powerful. He actually shattered the void and rushed out of Wanxiang City. However, the old horse under him was not so lucky. The old horse let out a neigh and was directly swallowed by the ancient cauldron that rushed up from below. Under the pressure of the primordial energy of all things, the old horse also let out a mournful cry and turned into a cloud of blood mist. Both its body and soul were destroyed. The primordial chaos energy was the source energy of all living beings. Even those ancient undying demonic soldiers could not go against it, and were destroyed in both body and spirit. Suddenly, it was as though a new world was opening up within the ancient cauldron. It was extremely horrifying, and everything within was destroyed, leaving nothing behind. Ah! The old demon general, who had escaped to the outskirts of Wanxiang City, roared into the skies. He could only watch helplessly as the demonic soldiers that had followed him for countless of years, the ones that had once fought alongside him in the 9 heavens and 10 earths, were destroyed within the ancient cauldron. His eyes were about to split apart as he was filled with extreme grief. You kill people, people kill you. What's there to be sad about? A voice rang out from within the ancient cauldron as a figure walked out from it. The gigantic ancient cauldron then shrunk rapidly and landed on the right hand of a black-robed young man. I want you dead. The old demon general roared out. As though he had gone mad, he dashed towards the black-robed young man. Yin and yang reversal, stars shift. The black-robed young man waved his sleeves, causing the entire sky to distort. In the next moment, the old demon general and the black-robed young man disappeared from the skies of Wanxiang City. Seeing this, Iron-Blood Daoist, who was in the skies above the Wanxiang City Lord's residence, was so shocked that he could not speak for a long time. His lord's methods were simply way too shocking. To think that he could kill 98 extremely powerful ancient black-armored demonic soldiers in one go. If they had not witnessed this scene with their own eyes, no one would have believed it. Even Xiaoqing was dumbfounded. That scene was simply way too shocking. His big bro's methods were getting stronger and stronger, and the power of that mountain and river cauldron was not weak either. Just then, a powerful aura of the Saint Tao descended from the skies. Thereafter, a heart-palpitating demonic aura descended from the skies as well. They've gone to the depths of the skies. Little Qing looked up at the starry sky and tightened its grip on the black rod. Then, it soared into the sky and rushed toward the starry sky. At this moment, Jiyu Zhong and the horned ancient black-armored demonic soldier were also fighting endlessly in the skies. Rumble, a gigantic golden palm appeared in the starry sky, slamming towards that terrifying devil shadow. The gigantic palm enveloped a part of the starry sky. One after another, the huge stars shattered under the gigantic golden palm. It was as terrifying as splitting open the heavens. This was the power of a Saint Emperor. With a wave of their hand, they could shatter stars, causing the skies to tremble and fall at any time. Roar! The horned ancient black-armored demonic soldier roared and also struck out with his palm. Wherever the pitch-black demonic palm passed, stars would explode one after another. Boom! With a loud bang, the huge golden hand and the pitch-black demonic hand collided. The two huge hands exploded in an instant, turning into two extremely powerful forces that exploded with a loud bang. The two powers cancelled each other out and intertwined, turning into a terrifying destructive power that swept out in all directions. Stars fell from the starry sky and exploded. The void collapsed and was annihilated. Even the chaotic aura was blasted out. Jiyu Zhong and the demonic figure were both knocked away by the explosive power. How is this possible? You're only a little saint king. How do you possess such battle prowess? The ancient black-armored demonic soldier stabilized himself before roaring out madly. At this moment, the ancient black-armored demonic soldier had also discovered that all his comrades who had attacked Wanxiang City had been slain. He was filled with disbelief. This was just unbelievable. It also made him very uneasy. The presence from the ancient cauldron made even him, an ancient demonic soldier who had experienced countless battles, shiver. He wanted to kill this despicable human and avenge his comrades. A supreme demonic energy erupted from the ancient black-armored demon. 9 ancient demonic inscriptions appeared on his body as the demonic energy quickly condensed and rapidly increased. TMPH, haven't you heard that fighters are invincible among the same level of cultivation? Not only am I invincible among the same level of cultivation, I can even challenge people of higher cultivation like you, Jiyu Zhong coldly said as he stared at the ancient black-armored demon. TMPH, Jiyu Zhong coldly said as he stared at the ancient black-armored demon. Damn it! The ancient black-armored demon roared. He was an ancient demon, so he obviously knew how terrifying experts like this human were. In the past, it was a human like this that had caused a great number of casualties among the demons. However, after so many years, he had still encountered a human like this. It really displeased him. At this moment, a figure appeared in the distance. It was a middle-aged man who held an item that gave off a presence that made the ancient black-armored demon uneasy. The presence of the divine phoenix. The ancient black-armored demon turned around and looked at the man. His blood-red eyes emitted rays of blood-red light as his gaze fell on the item in the man's hand. I can deal with this guy myself. Don't interfere. Jiyu Zhong said to the Iron-Blood Taoist in the distance. The Iron-Blood Taoist looked deeply at the ancient black-armored demon and nodded at Jiyu Zhong. Then, he turned around and rushed towards the star sector where the old demon general was. Without any unnecessary words, Jiyu Zhong and the ancient black-armored demon started fighting again. Their combat strength was similar and it was difficult to determine the winner in a short period of time. At this moment, Jiyu Fei's avatar and the old demon general were facing each other in another part of the starry sky. Powerful auras spread from the two figures. The entire starry sky was shaking and the stars in the sky were on the verge of collapsing. They could fall from the sky at any time. At this moment, Xiaoqing, the Iron-Blood Taoist, and the 3 saints of heaven, earth, and man arrived in the starry sky and looked at the two figures facing each other from afar. Even further away in the starry sky, many powerful figures were faintly discernible. The attack of the ancient black-armored demonic soldiers had already alerted the powerful existences in the eastern region. Chapter 2875. In the depths of the starry sky, 2 extremely powerful figures were confronting each other. At this moment, countless saints of the eastern region were alarmed. Everyone was extremely shocked. Wanxiang City, it's that Jiyu Fei again. Such a voice rang out from the Dongfang family's ancestral land. Many saints soared into the sky and came to the starry sky to watch the battle. Not many people were willing to miss a battle between experts of this level. There was no doubt that Jiyu Fei was powerful. However, when the saints saw the 2 figures fighting in another part of the starry sky, they couldn't help but be shocked. Many people recognized the golden deity. It was Jiyu Fei's disciple, Jiyu Zhong. He was at the peak of the Saint Emperor realm, but he could fight endlessly with a great saint ancient demon. How is this possible? Many people actually didn't believe that a cultivator could be invincible among the same level, and that they could even challenge experts of a higher level. However, the battle strength that Jiyu Zhong had displayed now forced them to believe it. Ridiculous. Not all legends are fake. If I didn't see it with my own eyes, who would believe such a thing? Some experts muttered. He's already invincible among those of the same level. A saint of the Dongfang family sighed. Jiyu Fei and his disciple had already become famous, and almost no one could control them. This was definitely not a good thing for the entire Dongfang family. Some people in the Eastern Domain had always been hostile to Jiu Fei. Some grudges and hatred were not so easy to resolve. These people would always be Jiu Fei's enemies. Unless they died, the hatred would be resolved. Regardless of whether it was the Dongfang family or the Zhao family of the desolate antiquity, there were people who wanted to kill Jiu Fei. These people were among the saints who appeared in the starry sky to watch the battle. However, at this time, Jiu Fei and his disciple had already risen, so these people didn't dare to act rashly. Boom! A loud sound rang out. Jiu Zhong and the ferocious demon clashed. The supreme power of a saint emperor erupted, and a series of explosive sounds came from his body. The power of his martial body also erupted. This time, the ferocious devil was directly sent flying, coughing up blood. It was pitch-black devil blood, and every drop of devil blood contained a powerful devil nature. If an ordinary person came into contact with this demonic blood, they would be corroded by the demonic nature of the demonic blood and turn into a demonic creature that only knew how to kill. The ancient fiendish demon was shocked to the max right now. To think that this human would only reveal his true battle prowess now. This was way too shocking. Kill. Without any hesitation, Jiu Zhong struck out with his heaven-covering palm. The golden palm instantly enveloped a part of the world and slammed towards the ferocious demon that was sent flying. Rumble. Wherever the golden hand passed, stars would explode one after another, transforming into destructive storms. A terrifying aura spread out, causing the entire starry sky to tremble. "I'll fight you to the death." That ferocious devil roared, and his entire body emitted a pitch-black demonic fire. His entire body actually began to burn, and the strongest demonic power erupted. This ferocious devil was burning its own life essence to stimulate all of its potential and display its strongest combat strength. "Let's fight to the death then," Jiu Zhong roared out as his entire body shone with a bedazzling golden light. It was as though his entire body was covered by a ball of golden flames. Turning into a streak of sword light, he dashed forth. Phew! The ancient fiendish demon laughed malevolently. Turning into a streak of demonic light, he dashed forth to meet the incoming golden streak of light. Boom! The golden streak of light and the demonic light clashed together. In the next moment, an even stronger shockwave burst forth from the golden streak of light, causing its combat strength to skyrocket. The demonic light dissipated as the ferocious devil was sent flying out with a tragic cry. Bam! It exploded into a black blood mist. Within the blood mist, a figure wrapped in a demonic light bolted up into the sky, trying to escape. "You think you can escape?" The golden streak of light dissipated as Jiu Zhong's figure appeared in the void. Grabbing out with his hand, he grabbed the demonic light in his hand. Bam! Jiu Zhong clenched his right hand and directly crushed the demonic light. An ancient black-armored demonic soldier was killed just like that. Both his body and soul were destroyed. At this moment, Jiu Zhong wiped off the sweat on his forehead. When he was fighting against the ancient fiendish demon, he used the Heaven Ascension secret technique, causing his combat strength to skyrocket. That was how he managed to kill the ancient fiendish demon. One had to admit that this ancient fiendish demon was truly powerful and terrifying. Just when Jiu Zhong killed the ancient black-armored demonic soldier, Jiu Fei was still confronting the old demon general. Although he did not descend with his true body, he was still extremely powerful. The supreme aura of the great Tao spread out from his body, causing the starry sky to tremble. The old demon general had completely calmed down. He once led the ancient black-armored demonic soldiers to conquer the 9 heavens and 10 earths. The number of living beings that died in his hands was simply innumerable. This old demon general's combat experience was so rich that there were probably only a few in the entire human world. The old demon general knew that he had encountered a formidable opponent. The opponent's combat strength was not below his. Moreover, what made his heart palpitate was that the person who killed all his demonic soldiers wasn't his true body, but a clone. What made his heart cold was that no one told him that this fellow was so difficult to deal with. Could it be that those fellows in the devil's den wanted to see him make a fool of himself? At this moment, Ji Yuzhong killed the ancient black-armored demonic soldier and rushed towards the starry sky where Ji Yufei was. Kill. At this time, the old demon general roared and finally made his move. He stretched out his right hand, and a demonic dragon immediately rushed out from his palm, pouncing towards Ji Yufei. Roar. The demonic dragon roared, and a destructive aura spread out from it. Bam! Ji Yufei punched out, directly hitting the head of the demonic dragon. In the next moment, the head of the demonic dragon exploded, turning into demonic chi. Buzz. Ji Yufei immediately pointed out with a finger. An extremely sharp sword light immediately rushed out from his finger, piercing through the void, aiming at the old demon general's forehead. Swish. The old demon general directly disappeared into the void, causing Ji Yufei's attack to miss. In the next moment, the old demon general's figure appeared above Ji Yufei's head. With his head down and feet up, he directly swooped down on Ji Yufei. Swish. Ji Yufei's figure also disappeared in an instant. When he reappeared, he was already beside the old demon general. His right leg was like a divine whip, sweeping towards the old demon general. However, the old demon general's figure disappeared again. Grand art of the void, is it? Ji Yufei smiled. In that case, I'll play with you. Swish. Chapter 2876. All the black-armored demonic soldiers that the old demon general brought with him died in battle. This infuriated the ancient war devil that once led his troops to conquer the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Boom. Bang. In the depths of the starry sky, large areas of the void exploded without any warning. Chaotic energy was blasted out, causing the entire space to tremble. It was a terrifying scene. Everyone who saw this scene was incomparably shocked. There was no silhouette in the starry sky. The two powerful existences had fused with the surrounding void and were fighting in the void. This was a battle between void arts. Ji Yufei and the old demon general had cultivated the profound of the void to an extremely high level. Their bodies fused with the void, leaving no traces behind. Xiaoqing, Ji Yuzhong, and the rest were nervous. This old demon was not simple. He was much stronger than the fiendish devils that came before. This was definitely an ancient devil that was about to take that step. And Ji Yufei wasn't fighting with his real body, but a clone. Although Ji Yufei's clone was strong, it was still inferior to his real body. Moreover, this clone was an immortal clone. Although it could use martial arts, it wasn't as powerful as his real body. The antivoid secret art was one of the 9 secrets of the immortal Tao. Xiaoqing and Ji Yuzhong knew that Ji Yufei was using this art to fight against the ancient devil. Boom. At this time, a silhouette broke through the void. A supreme demonic aura spread out from the silhouette, causing the entire space to tremble. Swish. In the next moment, the silhouette shrouded in demonic energy disappeared from the void. The moment the demonic figure disappeared, a large chaotic hand slapped out of the void and blasted a huge hole in the spot where the demonic figure had originally been. If the silhouette was half a step slower, it would have been hit by the chaotic hand. Bang! The void trembled. With a muffled sound, another silhouette fell out of the void. This person had a majestic immortal aura. It was none other than Ji Yufei's clone. Ji Yufei's clone blurred and vanished into thin air. A pitch-black demonic hand silently appeared where he had just been standing. Under the demonic hand, the void was silently annihilated, constantly shattering outwards. The two powerhouses seemed to be evenly matched, and neither was able to gain any advantage over the other. Xiaoqing and Ji Yuzhong couldn't help but look at each other when they saw this scene, both of them extremely shocked. This ancient war demon was extraordinary after all. It was outstanding, able to kill holy venerables. Unfortunately, his opponent today was Ji Yufei. Actually, it wasn't that the spectating saints couldn't sense anything. They could still sense the profound undulations in the air. Many people were discussing in low voices, guessing who would win. Xiaoqing and Ji Yuzhong naturally supported Ji Yufei, believing that Ji Yufei would definitely win. However, others weren't so sure, especially those from the Dongfang clan and the primordial Zhao clan. They couldn't wait for Ji Yufei to die in the hands of the demon. It's a pity that he's not fighting with his real body. Someone sighed. Many people wanted to see Jiyu Fei's true battle prowess, but many of them could see that Jiyu Fei, who was fighting endlessly with the ancient fiendish devil, was merely a clone. Rumble, at this time, the starry sky in front of them suddenly shook violently. Large stars fell from the sky and exploded. Even the Tenglong continent could see fireworks blooming in the sky. The strange phenomenon that appeared in the starry sky attracted the attention of the cultivators in the other regions of the Tenglong continent. Even mortals could see the strange phenomenon in the starry sky. Soon after, pitch-black spatial cracks appeared in the starry sky. Each spatial crack was larger than a star and could easily tear a star apart. Boom! Suddenly, there was a loud noise. The entire sky exploded. Two silhouettes charged out from the void. Powerful energy ripples spread in all directions. Dozens of large stars exploded on the spot. Kill! Jiyu Fei roared and struck forward with his palm. A huge golden hand appeared in the void in front of him and blasted towards the demonic shadow opposite him. On the golden palm, 9 immortal marks appeared and intertwined, drawing upon the power of the immortal Tao. Kill! The old demon general also roared angrily and sent out a palm strike with all his might. The tip of the needle met the awn of the wheat. It was extremely powerful. Bang! The golden hand and the demonic hand collided like two divine mountains colliding. A transparent ripple of the void spread out in all directions like a wave. Wherever the transparent ripple passed, stars would explode one after another, destroying everything in its path. This, terrifying ripples swept through the entire starry sky. All the saints were shocked and hurriedly retreated into the distance. Some of the unlucky ones with weaker cultivations directly fell from the starry sky. This was a battle between holy venerates. Ordinary sages simply wouldn't be able to withstand the holy venerate might that erupted from holy venerate powerhouses. Even little Qing and Jiyu Zhong had no choice but to retreat into the distance. At this time, the golden palm and demon hand dissipated in the sky, turning into a mass of golden light and demonic qi. Then, they wore each other down and disappeared in the chaotic qi. This scene was too shocking. The area of the shattered void was comparable to half of the East region sky market. If this had happened in the soaring dragon ancestral star, many people would have died. It was not an exaggeration to describe this terrifying scene as apocalyptic. Jiyu Fei and the old demon general clashed again. The immortal Tao divine law and the demonic Tao grand technique clashed continuously, creating dazzling sparks. The two experts fought their way into the chaotic qi. Blood splattered everywhere. They were already in a frenzy. There was only one opponent in their eyes, and that was to turn the other into dregs. Everyone was dumbfounded to see the two experts fight their way into the chaotic qi. These two guys were so powerful that they could ignore the chaotic qi. One should know that even ordinary saints wouldn't dare to enter the chaotic qi casually. At this time, in the endless chaotic turbulence in the qi, two figures were moving at high speed, fighting with all their might. The intensity was absolutely rare. Buzz! Jiyu Fei's body blossomed with golden light. 9 extremely sharp sword lights exuding a terrifying aura of destruction rushed out of his body and slashed towards the old demon general. He directly used the 9 sky punishing swords. Phut! 9 sword lights instantly pierced through the old demon general's body, leaving 9 trails of blood behind the old demon general. Chapter 2877. The punishing heaven 9 swords was said to be able to punish the heavens. It was a killing sword path created by a supreme sword Tao expert. Its killing intent was so strong that it made even the demons' hearts palpitate. Jiyu Fei displayed the punishing heaven 9 swords. 9 immortal sword lights instantly pierced through the old demon general's devil body, leaving 9 bloody holes on his body. Roar! The old demon general roared in anger. He was directly hit by the impact of the 9 sword lights and flew backward for an unknown distance. He was inexplicably angry. This puny human could actually hurt his devil body. This old demon general was a terrifying war devil from the ancient times. This old demon's combat experience was absolutely incomparably rich. He had experienced thousands of battles and still managed to survive. The old demon general's supreme devil body was absolutely tempered. Ordinary Saint Venerable level sacred tools would find it hard to hurt him. Saint Venerable level sacred tools slashed the old demon general's body like scratching an itch. They couldn't even break his devil armor. However, Ji Yufei's sword lights directly broke the old demon general's devil armor and pierced through his devil body. In other words, Ji Yufei's punishing heaven sword lights were many times stronger than a Saint Venerable level sacred tool. At this time, the old demon general's figure had already disappeared in the endless chaos turbulence, but a powerful devil aura emerged from the depths of the chaos turbulence. Rumble, boundless primal chaos chi surged as an incomparably huge figure appeared within the primal chaos. On that huge figure, devil blood dripped down. Ji Yufei looked at the scene in the distance. He wasn't in a hurry to take action. Chaos chi condensed, and the huge figure in front directly stretched out a big hand, slapping towards Ji Yufei. The chaos turbulence was directly broken, and the surrounding chaos chi crazily gathered towards that big hand. The chaos demon's shadow quickly became clearer. It looked like a chaos demon from ancient times, and was about to walk out of the chaos void. Sensing that the old demon's strength was constantly increasing, Ji Yufei's face revealed a trace of surprise. This fierce devil was actually crazily condensing chaos chi. The chaos chi in the chaos void was not so easy to refine and absorb. The chaos chi here was incomparably violent, forming chaotic turbulence. This chaotic turbulence would evolve into earth, water, wind, and fire from time to time, easily tearing apart any living being below the saint realm. This was also the reason why only saints above the saint realm dared to enter the chaos void. The primal chaos void was a world that had yet to be opened up. Of course, there were also supreme experts who could open up a world in this kind of void. They were the legendary primal chaos domains, also known as primal chaos paradises. Such paradises were very difficult to find, but quite a few had been discovered since ancient times. At this time, the chaos void seemed to be splitting heaven and earth. The chaos chi exploded, and the earth, water, wind, and fire raged. Bang! Ji Yufei smiled, stretched out his right hand, and directly pressed forward. Compared to the old devil's chaos chi palm, Ji Yufei's palm was simply pitifully small, like an ant trying to shake a tree. However, it was this ant that shook the tree. Rumble, as the two powerful forces collided, Ji Yufei only felt an extremely powerful force coming from the chaos demon hand and directly sent him flying. Ji Yufei coldly snorted, stopping his retreat. Roar! The fierce devil roared at the sky, then opened its mouth, and a huge black hole immediately appeared in the void. A heaven-devouring force came out, and endless chaos chi was swallowed. Ji Yufei also flew towards the black hole involuntarily and was about to be devoured. "You want to eat me?" Ji Yufei laughed. He did not resist and was directly swallowed by the black hole. He entered the chaos void, and chaos lightning wreaked havoc everywhere. A destructive chaos chi rushed towards Ji Yufei. "TCH, you want to destroy me with just this? What a joke." Ji Yufei sat cross-legged in the void, allowing the chaos chi to destroy him. 9 immortal Dao patterns emerged on his body. The chaos chi was blocked outside his body. Rumble, the powerful chi continued to condense, and the entire chaos void seemed to be solidifying. However, Ji Yufei was like a lone boat in the raging sea, about to be overturned at any time. However, something unexpected happened. Although Ji Yufei looked like he was about to be destroyed by the chaos chi, he was like an undying cockroach, still standing strong. "How is this possible? I don't believe that I can't kill you." The ancient devil's voice was full of disbelief. He had already used the chaos chi to kill Ji Yufei, who had been swallowed into his stomach. At this time, the spectators outside the void didn't know what was happening in the chaos turbulence, but they suddenly felt that Ji Yufei's chi seemed to have disappeared. Xiaoqing and Ji Yuzhong exchanged a glance. They both saw confusion and shock in each other's eyes. They absolutely did not believe that Ji Yufei could be killed by that devil. However, Ji Yufei's chi had disappeared. This was a fact. What exactly was happening in the chaos turbulence? No one knew. Not only was there chaos chi, but there was also the power of earth, water, wind, and fire that could destroy all divine intents. Even a powerful existence at the saint level could not sense what was happening in the chaos turbulence. What's going on? Many people were shocked by the sudden disappearance of Jiyu Fei's qi, but a small group of people were gloating. These people wished that Jiyu Fei would die and reincarnate as soon as possible. No, it would be better to say that he would die early rather than reincarnate. Some people were already sneering, thinking that Jiyu Fei was only SOSO. These people had already forgotten that the person fighting against the ferocious devil was actually just a clone of Jiyu Fei. However, some people were very clear-headed and knew what this meant. As long as Jiyu Fei's real body was not destroyed, losing one or two clones would not be able to harm him. Master, Jiyu Zhong stared at the huge chaos vortex with a solemn expression. Inside the vortex, the chaos qi and the power of earth, water, wind, and fire were constantly intertwining. A powerful demonic aura came out of the vortex, but Jiyu Fei's qi had completely disappeared. Don't worry. Xiaoqing patted Jiyu Zhong's shoulder and said. Although he said so, he was very nervous in his heart. Jiyu Fei should not be defeated by that devil. That guy is dead. The elder of the Dongfang family also came. His face showed a complicated expression. He seemed to be surprised and happy at the same time. He wanted to laugh, but he could not. At this time in the Dongfang family, the Eastern Sky Tyrant King was still in seclusion. He wanted to break through the legendary realm, but everyone knew how difficult it was to take that step. The Eastern Sky Tyrant King was not a real human emperor. There was still a long way to go before he reached the human emperor realm. This Tyrant King walked a different path from others. The human emperor was also the strongest existence in the 9 heavens and 10 earths, comparable to the legendary supreme masters. However, this path was no easier than the path of the extreme path supreme master. It was too difficult to become a Renhuang. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been so many Renhuangs throughout the ages. Once the Eastern Sky Tyrant King succeeded, no one would be able to threaten the Dongfang family anymore. However, if he failed, the Dongfang family would be finished. In the entire Eastern domain, everyone knew that the only person Jiyu Fei was afraid of was the Eastern Sky Tyrant King. This was because the Tyrant King held the human emperor sword in his hand. Jiyu Fei did not even care about those old antiques in the Zhao family of the Desolate Antiquity. Of course, the Zhao family of the Desolate Antiquity could become a force of the Desolate Antiquity that had existed for countless years. They were not weaker than the Dongfang family. In fact, they were even stronger. The Zhao family of the Desolate Antiquity also felt very sullen about Jiyu Fei's disregard. Just when everyone thought that Jiyu Fei had died in battle, an aura that was so powerful that it made the saint-level creatures' hearts palpitate suddenly spread out from the broken void. Sensing the powerful aura that suddenly spread out from the broken void, Xiaoqing and Jiyu Zhong were both surprised and happy. They were very familiar with this aura. Source qi of heaven and earth. Some old antique saints said this after sensing this aura that made their hearts palpitate. Source qi of heaven and earth was not the chaotic qi. The Hongmeng spiritual essence was the source qi of heaven and earth. This kind of spiritual essence was born before the heaven and earth. Then, it evolved into the chaos, yin and yang, the 5 elements, and then the heaven and earth. The source qi of heaven and earth was also known as the chaotic Hongmeng spiritual essence. Since ancient times, there was only one supreme saint weapon that contained the chaotic Hongmeng spiritual essence. That was the mountain and river cauldron. Just when all the creatures in the outside world were indescribably shocked, in the depths of the chaos, an incomparably huge demonic shadow suddenly exploded. Endless chaotic Hongmeng spiritual essence suddenly exploded. If this scene of destruction had happened in the outside world, the entire starry sky would have been directly destroyed. An unimaginably terrifying destructive power spread out. Even the chaotic turbulence was dispersed. The earth, water, fire, and wind were in chaos. A space of nothingness appeared in the chaos. In the endless chaotic turbulence, an incomparably huge space of nothingness was forcibly opened up. This space of nothingness was probably larger than any of the domains in the Tenglong continent. At this moment, an ancient cauldron rushed out of the endless demon qi. Several huge pieces of corpses floated in the nothingness, emitting a heart-palpitating demonic aura. Damn it! A wave of unwilling will spread out from the void. The huge pieces of corpses quickly rushed together. Then, a ball of demonic light burst out and the figure of the old demon general appeared in the void. Cauldron of source chi of heaven and earth, you actually have the cauldron of source chi of heaven and earth. No wonder. Chapter 2878. The Mountain River Cauldron, also known as the Heaven and Earth Source Chi Cauldron that the old demon general mentioned, turned into the size of an adult's fist and was held in Ji Fei's right hand. The ancient cauldron exuded an ancient aura. Primordial chaos chi swirled around the cauldron's surface. Primordial chaos chi pulsed within the cauldron's mouth, as if a world was evolving inside. Swish. The old demon general directly turned and fled. What a joke! The opponent had the Heaven and Earth Source Chi Cauldron. He had no chance of winning at all, and would be killed instead. Where do you think you're going? Ji Fei bellowed and chased after the old demon general with the mountain and river cauldron in his hand. At the same time, a clanging sound came from the ancient cauldron in his hand. A stream of primordial chaos chi turned into a divine chain and rushed out of the cauldron, piercing through the escaping old demon general. Poof! With a soft sound, the divine chain condensed from primordial chaos chi pierced through the old demon general's demonic body, then wrapped around him and pulled him towards the mouth of the cauldron. Roar! The old demon general roared, the demonic chi around his body surged, trying to break free from the shackles of the divine chain. The divine chain around the old demon general's body clanked. The more he struggled, the tighter the divine chain became. This shocked the old demon general to the extreme. Roar! The old demon general struggled with all his might. A demonic spear filled with monstrous demonic chi shot out from his forehead. It was a blood-stained demonic spear with divine blood dripping from its tip. This was a great weapon that had once killed a divine being. However, this saint-killing demonic weapon did not help the old demon general break free. The blood-dripping spear stabbed the divine chain condensed from primordial chaos chi, making a clanging sound, unable to break through the shackles of the divine chain. Swish! At this moment, another divine chain rushed out of the mountain and river cauldron and wrapped itself around the bleeding demonic spear. The demonic spear was pulled towards the mouth of the mountain and river cauldron by the divine chain. The demonic spear was full of demonic nature. It had once killed a saint, and the saint blood on the spearhead had yet to dry, blooming with palpitating crimson light. The demon spear was also struggling, but he couldn't break free from the chains. He was one step ahead of the old demon general and was pulled into the mountain river cauldron. The old demon general roared again and again. From time to time, he would transform into a demonic dragon that was even bigger than a mountain, and from time to time, he would transform into an incomparably huge demonic bird. The primal chaos demonic energy was vast and mighty, and the entire primal chaos was in turmoil. The old demon general did not want to die. The longer he lived, the more he treasured his life. Even if he had once been an invincible demon general who led the black-armored Mo soldiers to conquer the 9 heavens and 10 earths, it was the same. As long as they could survive, no living being would want to die. It's just a deathbed struggle. Ji Fei smirked when he saw this. There was no living being that could fight against the cauldron of mountain and river, unless it was the Supreme Zun or Renhuang that had long disappeared. In the current world, there was only one Renhuang, and that was Jiang Renhuang. Jiang Renhuang was friends with Ji Fei, so he naturally wouldn't attack Ji Fei. Now, the existence that could threaten Ji Fei was only the demon ancestors of the demon ancestor. Unless the mysterious and unfathomable demon ancestor in the depths of the Eastern Demon Cave jumped out, no one in the Eastern Demon Cave could compete with Ji Fei. There was no suspense in what happened next. No matter how hard the old demon struggled, it could not break free from the shackles of the divine chains. In the end, it was swallowed by the cauldron of mountain and river. Ji Fei directly sat on the cauldron of mountain and river and activated the power of the cauldron of mountain and river to refine the old demon and the demonic weapon that had once killed a saint. The cauldron of mountain and river had not fully awakened, so Ji Fei could only use a small part of the power of the cauldron of mountain and river, but it was enough to deal with the old demon general. Soon, the demonic spear that had once killed a saint collapsed in the cauldron of mountain and river, and was then destroyed by the primal chaos chi. The old demon general was incomparably powerful. Even though he was pulled into the cauldron of mountain and river, he still wanted to escape from the cauldron of mountain and river. He constantly cast the demon technique, wanting to tear the void and escape into the primal chaos. However, he was inside the cauldron of mountain and river. The cauldron of mountain and river could suppress mountains and rivers. Even if the old demon general was a legendary half-step supremacy, it would still be difficult for him to escape from the cauldron of mountain and river. Rumble. The void inside the cauldron of mountain and river trembled. A mass of demonic chi swept out, enveloping more than half of the void. This made the cauldron spirit in the cauldron of mountain and river show signs of awakening. Clang. Divine chains rushed out from the depths of the void inside the cauldron of mountain and river, directly piercing the mass of demonic chi and penetrating the old demon general's demonic body. Bang! With a muffled sound, the old demon general screamed miserably. His entire demonic body was immediately torn apart by the divine chains. One of the divine chains directly penetrated the old demon general's yuan shen. The old demon general's yuan shen was immediately nailed to the void by the divine chains. His yuan shen quickly faded and dissipated in the void. As soon as the yuan shen was destroyed, the vitality of the old demon general's shattered body instantly disappeared. The shattered body floated in the void, still emitting a heart-palpitating demonic aura. A drop of blood from such a powerful old demon general could instantly demonize a large area, enough to kill ordinary sages. Only by completely obliterating the old demon general's flesh and bones would it be possible. The divine chains condensed from primordial chaos chi that tore apart the old demon general dissipated and turned into a mass of primordial chaos chi, wrapping around all the shattered flesh and bones floating in the void. Then, a primordial chaos flame emerged from the primordial chaos chi, burning the old demon's demonic body to ashes. Everything with demonic nature was obliterated. This ferocious demon who once led a group of subordinates to conquer the 9 heavens and 10 earths, causing the heavens to tremble, was annihilated just like that. Roar. Just when Jiu Fei used the mountain and river cauldron to kill the old demon general, a furious roar resounded from the depths of the eastern devil cave. How is this possible? Even he died in battle. Could it be that Jiu Fei is the reincarnation of a sovereign? An old voice resounded from the depths of the devil cave. The voice was filled with unwillingness. At this time, in the starry sky outside the chaotic void, everyone was inexplicably shocked. This time, it was the old demon's aura that suddenly disappeared. No one knew what happened. Could it be that Jiu Fei killed that ferocious demon? Is this possible? Someone found it hard to believe. The strength of that ferocious demon was undeniable. It was impossible for Jiu Fei to kill such a powerful ferocious demon in one go. Only Xiaoqing and Jiu Zhong knew that the ferocious demon was dead because they sensed the aura of the mountain and river cauldron. Jiu Fei used it. Chapter 2879. In the depths of the starry sky, the shattered void was gradually repaired by the power of the heavens and earth. Jiu Fei's aura surged out from the shattered void, causing everyone's hearts to palpitate. What's going on? Some of the saints were inexplicably shocked. The old demon's aura had disappeared for a period of time. Why hadn't he appeared yet? Could it be that the ferocious demon was really killed by Jiu Fei? No one knew that Jiu Fei was actually activating the mountain and river cauldron at this moment, drawing the power of the cauldron to refine the ferocious demon. At this time, everyone was staring at the shattered void that was gradually becoming smaller. They all wanted to know the result of this battle. It was as if there were countless ants crawling in their hearts, making them itch unbearably. However, no one dared to enter the primal chaos to check it out. All they could do was wait. Some people couldn't help but look in the direction of Xiaoqing and Jiu Zhong. When they saw the relaxed expressions on Xiaoqing and Jiu Zhong's faces, they more or less guessed what had happened. Looks like Jiu Fei got lucky again this time. A small group of people from the Dongfang family and the Zhao family were somewhat disappointed with this result. They originally thought that such a powerful ferocious demon would be able to make Jiu Fei pay a little, but in the end, Those ancient demons were all here to die. Not long after, Jiyu Fei's aura also disappeared. Then, a figure walked out from the shattered void. As soon as they saw the figure that walked out from the shattered void, everyone knew the result of this battle. Jiyu Fei had won. That ferocious demon would probably not be able to walk out from the primal chaos again. After knowing the result of this battle, the small group of people from the Dongfang family and the Zhao family were naturally very disappointed. Some of them directly turned around and left. Most of the people who were watching the battle did not have any enmity with Jiyu Fei. Such an ending was something they were happy to see. It should be known that demons were the greatest enemies of all living beings. The Eastern Demon Den was a threat to all the forces in the Eastern region. Sooner or later, all the forces in the Eastern region would start a war with the demons in the Eastern Demon Den. But now, Jiyu Fei had single-handedly killed so many strong demons. Such a battle record made everyone admire him. Currently, in the Eastern region, only Jiyu Fei dared to fight against the Eastern region demons. Moreover, he killed all the invading demons one by one, not leaving a single one alive. This was simply too satisfying. Jiyu Fei wasn't like the Dongfang family and the primordial Zhao family. These families had too many misgivings and were overcautious. They didn't want to fight with the East Region Devil Cave's fiendish devils. On the other hand, Jiyu Fei did not have so many concerns. Big Brother, Master, Xiaoqing and Jiyu Zhong hurriedly went to greet them. "All right, let's go back." After saying that, Jiyu Fei disappeared into the void. When he reappeared, he had already charged down from the starry sky. Xiaoqing and Jiyu Zhong exchanged a glance and hurriedly rushed down from the starry sky. The three saints of heaven, earth, and human, as well as Iron Blood Daoist and the others, also hurriedly followed. The battle ended. Some people were happy, while others were sad. Jiyu Fei's avatar was already so powerful. Wouldn't his real body take that step forward? The stronger Jiyu Fei was, the better it was for the entire human race. But for his enemies, it was a bad thing. Whether it was in the human world or the heaven world, he had enemies. Of course, he also had friends. Some people didn't necessarily have to become enemies. For example, Azure Dragon of the Southern Desolate Azure Dragon clan. He only saw Jiyu Fei as an opponent worthy of respect and surpassing. However, it was not easy to surpass Jiyu Fei. The battle between Jiyu Fei and the Old Devil had a great impact. Naturally, it also alarmed Azure Dragon. Azure Dragon was also among the spectators. When he saw Jiyu Fei defeating the fiendish devil, he couldn't help but be shocked. If the opponent's avatar was already so powerful, wouldn't his real body be even more heaven-defying? It seemed that he was still not Jiyu Fei's match. Azure Dragon sighed and turned to leave the Eastern Domain. He returned to the Southern Desolate Domain to continue his seclusion. Afterward, he would go to the forbidden area of the Azure Dragon clan. There was a legend in the Azure Dragon clan. As long as someone could pass the tests set by their primogenitor, they would be able to obtain great power. As the current Azure Dragon of the Azure Dragon clan, he naturally wanted to obtain even greater power. However, since ancient times, no one had been able to pass the tests set by the Azure Dragon primogenitor. It was easy to imagine how difficult it was. But precisely because of this difficulty, the things left behind by the Azure Dragon primogenitor were even more heaven-defying. At first, Azure Dragon was still hesitating. But now, he had made up his mind. He must pass the tests set by the primogenitor and obtain the greatest power of the Azure Dragon clan. He would become the strongest existence in the history of the Azure Dragon clan apart from the primogenitor. Jiyu Fei, I will definitely come back to find you. After saying that, the Azure Dragon walked into the forbidden area of the Azure Dragon clan and disappeared. Have you finally made up your mind? Beside the entrance of the Azure Dragon clan sat a black-robed old man. At this time, the black-robed old man was staring at the direction where Azure Dragon disappeared. At this time, be it the heavenly realm or the mortal realm, many people were preparing. Perhaps the great chaos would really come. The Eastern Demon Cave emitted a heart-palpitating demonic aura. Ever since the old demon general and the 100 ancient black-armored demonic soldiers died in battle, the Eastern Demon Cave did not make any further moves. However, everyone knew that the Eastern Demon Cave would not let it go just like that. The atmosphere of the entire Eastern Domain became even more tense. Be it the Dongfang clan or the desolate ancient Zhao clan, they began to restrain their disciples. The entire Eastern Domain seemed to be in for a storm. At this time, Wanxiang City had regained its peace. The phenomenon in the sky above Wanxiang City had disappeared. Ji Yufei and the old tortoise were still in seclusion. They really took that step. This surprised and delighted Xiaoqing and the others. At this time, on the ancestral Myrtle Star, in the depths of the ruins where the legendary Land of Immortals was located, immortal light rushed out from time to time. This attracted the attention of the major forces in the ancestral Myrtle Star, and they sent their experts to investigate. For a time, the area where the ruins were located became much more lively. 100 miles away from the ruins, there was a city called the City of Immortals. It was an ancient city, so ancient that no one could remember when it was built. At this time, the ancient city was already overcrowded. Some people said that the legendary Land of Immortals was about to appear. The immortal light that appeared in the ruins was a sign that the Land of Immortals was about to appear. The Land of Immortals was an ancient legend in the ancestral Myrtle Star. It was said that there were great opportunities and great fortunes in the Land of Immortals. Whoever could obtain such fortunes and opportunities would become the most powerful existence in the ancestral Myrtle Star. Chapter 2880. The ancestral star of Crepe Myrtle was one of the 5 ancestral stars of the mortal realm. It was a humongous planet that had existed since time immemorial. A supreme existence once emerged from this planet, and that supreme figure was none other than Sovereign Ziwei. In the ancestral star, Supreme Ziwei was also known as Emperor Ziwei. Emperor Ziwei had once ruled the mortal realm for an era, suppressing the dark chaos and slaying the supreme demon lord. He was one of the strongest sovereigns throughout history. Of course, he eventually disappeared as well, and no one knew where he went. This was a great secret of the ancestral star of Crepe Myrtle, or even the entire mortal realm. Not even the Ji clan knew of this secret. The Ji clan was a monarch clan, and Emperor Ziwei was a supreme existence who came from the Ji clan. Even though the emperor had disappeared for eons, the Ji clan still ruled over the entire ancestral star. This was something that had never happened on any other ancestral star. In other ancestral stars, the clans that had produced sovereigns had once ruled over the entire planet. However, once the sovereign disappeared, the clan would soon lose the right to rule over the entire planet. However, the ancestral star of Crepe Myrtle was an exception. It was the only ancestral star in the mortal realm that was still completely controlled by a monarch clan. Of course, while the ancestral star of Crepe Myrtle was still under the control of the Ji clan, many powerful sects and clans had risen on the planet. Though these sects and clans seemed to obey the orders of the Ji clan on the surface, they were secretly competing with the Ji clan. One should know that the Ji clan had ruled over the entire ancestral star for far too long. In every era, there would always be experts who challenged the Ji clan's right to rule, but they were all defeated by the Ji clan and died tragically. However, there was once a time when the Ji clan encountered a great calamity. A quasi-sovereign appeared on the ancestral star of Crepe Myrtle. During the era when sovereigns had disappeared, quasi-sovereigns were invincible existences. In the battle that year, the quasi-sovereign charged straight into the ancestral grounds of the Ji clan and nearly wiped out the super-clan that had ruled the ancestral star for eons. In the nick of time, an ancestor of the Purple Myrtle Ji family asked for a decree left behind by the Purple Myrtle Emperor to kill that quasi-supreme being. Only then did the Purple Myrtle Ji family survive. In the years that followed, all of the major powers became more well-behaved. They knew that the Ji family of the ancestral star had a backup plan left behind by Emperor Ziwei, so many of them had no choice but to endure. At this time, the phenomenon of the flying immortal land immediately attracted the attention of all the major forces on the entire ancestral star. Countless experts rushed towards the flying immortal land in an instant. The flying immortal city was overcrowded. All the inns were filled with cultivators and some even set up camp in the mountains outside the city. At night, Divine lights and immortal auras could be seen rushing over from afar from time to time, landing near the flying celestial city. Some even fell directly into the flying celestial city. Rumble, a chariot shrouded in purple aura suddenly appeared under the moonlight. A powerful aura emanated from the chariot. The beast pulling the chariot was the legendary purple Chileen. That's the G-clan's Chileen chariot. The important figure of the G-clan is here. Someone recognized the origin of this chariot. Only the important figures of the G-clan could ride the Chileen chariot because it was a symbol of status. Not everyone could ride it. In the G-clan, only the core members of the clan could use the Chileen chariot. Only the most powerful ones could ride the purple Chileen, a saint-level divine beast. Such a divine beast was much stronger than ordinary saints and could easily kill them. However, this purple Chileen was willing to pull the chariot for someone else. The chariot charged over from the distance. The purple Chileen's 4 hooves stomped on the ground, creating pitch-black spatial cracks in the void. The appearance of the chariot alarmed all the experts near the flying immortal city. Chumph, even the G-clan can't sit still anymore. Someone sneered at the chariot that flew over their heads. The purple Chileen pulled the chariot straight into the flying immortal city and landed in the city lord's mansion. The flying immortal city was still the territory of the G-clan. The G-clan divided the entire ancestral star into countless territories and sent out their experts to guard them. Those experts who guarded a region were the kings. The patriarch of the Zwag family was the emperor, and the city lord of the flying immortal city was a marquis. The flying immortal king was definitely one of the most powerful nobles of the Zwag family. Some even said that he had already taken that step. Of course, this was only a legend. No one had actually seen the power of the flying immortal king. This time, the noble of the G-clan didn't show himself when the strange phenomenon appeared in the land of flying immortal. It was as if the phenomenon had nothing to do with him. Soon, a piece of news spread across the flying immortal city. The genius son of the G-clan lord had arrived. His name was G-fan, the son of the current G-clan lord. G-fan is here. On a mountain peak outside of the flying immortal city stood a blurry silhouette. This silhouette was like a puff of smoke, giving off an unreal feeling. It was as if a gust of wind could blow this person away. The one driving the Chileen chariot was G-fan. All the experts in the vicinity of the flying celestial city were shocked. G-fan had gone into seclusion after returning from the chaotic world. However, before G-fan went into seclusion, he was already a saint. Now that he had gone into seclusion for so many years and had come out, it was hard to imagine just how strong he had become. Many people were curious, especially the geniuses from the same generation as G-fan. In the ancestral star, there was no lack of geniuses in every generation. Some of these geniuses could even be compared to G-fan of the G-clan. Although the G-clan was the leader of the cultivation forces in the ancestral star, there were also some forces with extremely deep foundations. Even the G-clan was wary of these forces. Among the forces that even the G-clan was wary of, the Yun clan was one of them. This clan was very powerful, but they kept a low profile. However, despite their low profile, this clan still produced an incredible figure. Yun Tianzhao, the only person in the Yun clan who could fight against G-fan among the younger generation. He actually came personally. Very well. In a courtyard in the flying immortal city, a young man in white stood in the courtyard. He looked up at the moon and mumbled to himself. His eyes flashed with a cold light. Whoosh! At this moment, the figure on top of the mountain outside the flying immortal city disappeared. In the next moment, the figure reappeared in the sky above the city lord's mansion of the flying immortal city. G-fan, come out and fight. A loud voice was heard, echoing throughout the entire flying immortal city. What? Someone wants to challenge G-fan? All the cultivators in the flying immortal city were shocked. G-fan had just arrived, and before he could even warm his seat, someone had already come to challenge him. The entire ancient city was in an uproar. Countless cultivators rushed out of the city. Everyone was curious and wanted to see who this person was that dared to challenge G-fan. However, everyone was disappointed. because the figure in the sky above the city lord's mansion of the flying immortal city was blurry. Even the sacred level cultivators could not see the figure clearly. The person was like an incarnation of the great Tao. His entire body was surrounded by qi. Even the sacred level cultivators with the inner eyes could not see the figure clearly, let alone the other cultivators. How is this possible? Could this person be the legendary heavenly Tao physique? Someone said. The heavenly Tao physique. Those who possessed this physique were born to be close to the great Tao of the heavens and earth. They were the favored ones of the heavens. Their cultivation speed could be described as insane. While everyone was still in shock, a figure dashed out from the city lord's mansion. It was a figure surrounded by purple qi. An extremely powerful aura emanated from the figure's body. It's you. The person was Ji Fan. His eyes were as bright as the stars in the night sky. He stared at the figure and said coldly. He recognized the person. The blurry figure immediately turned around and left. Ji Fan turned into a ray of purple light and chased after the figure. The two figures were extremely fast and disappeared into the mountains outside of the flying immortal city in an instant. Everyone was startled. Then, they all turned into rays of light and chased after the two cultivators. How is this possible? Why did I sense that person's aura? In the city lord's mansion of the flying immortal city, such words were heard from a palace. Inside the palace, two pairs of eyes lit up as if they were going to see through the sky. Boom! Under the moonlight, a loud rumble was heard from deep inside the mountains outside of the flying immortal city. The mountains trembled and countless birds in the mountains were startled. Countless beasts on the ground ran for their lives. Two extremely powerful figures were fighting deep inside the mountains. Their energy waves spread in all directions. Mountains crumbled one after another and the ground cracked. It was as if doomsday had arrived. Some powerful saint-level living beings rushed over and were shocked to see this scene. The entire space in front of them could no longer be sensed by the great Tao of the heavens and earth. There were only two extremely powerful figures fighting. The power that erupted from the two cultivators disrupted the great Tao of the heavens and earth. Ji Fan has the infinite body. The power of infinite transformation is vast and mighty. It can dissolve all attacks. He's already undefeatable. Someone said something like that. Not necessarily. That person seems to have the heavenly Tao body. Although the infinite body is powerful, the heavenly Tao body is also extraordinary. It can attract the power of the great Tao of the heavens and earth for its own use. Someone said disapprovingly. In that case, let's see who will emerge victorious between these two. Chapter 2881. A great battle erupted in the depths of the mountains outside of the flying immortal city. A mysterious figure had challenged Ji Fan, causing a commotion in the city. All the cultivators were as excited as if they had been injected with chicken blood. They all rushed out of the city to watch the battle. However, a saintly aura surged out from the depths of the mountains. The countless figures that had just soared into the sky fell from the sky like dumplings being thrown into a pot. For a moment, screams and shouts filled the air inside and outside of the flying immortal city. Many people were badly injured. Some unlucky ones even fell from the sky and died. At this moment, the hot-headed cultivators finally came to their senses. This was a battle between holy-grade beings, and not everyone was qualified to spectate it. Of course, there were many who were qualified to go and watch the battle in the flying immortal city. In the courtyard of the flying immortal city, the white-robed young man who was standing under a tree suddenly disappeared. Like a gust of wind, a few leaves drifted down from the tree. Who is that? How dare he challenge Ji Fan? Some of the geniuses of the younger generation were muttering to themselves. High up in the sky, many powerful figures were faintly discernible. The ancestral star of crepe myrtle was the home of life. Geniuses from various sects and races emerged in large numbers. The entire world of cultivation was flourishing. Geniuses were prideful by nature. They believed that they were not weaker than others. Although Ji Fan was a genius of the Ji clan, many still saw him as a target. The genius of the Yun clan, Yun Tianzhao, was one of them. The Yun clan wasn't the only cultivation clan in the ancestral star. In the clouds high up in the sky, the silhouette of a golden phoenix was faintly discernible. A powerful aura of a golden phoenix emanated from the clouds. An expert of the Phoenix clan is here too. Someone noticed the golden phoenix in the clouds. The Phoenix clan was a great clan in the ancestral star. Legend has it that this clan was descended from the phoenix. In this generation, there was someone in this clan who showed signs of atavism. The Phoenix clan regarded the one with the bloodline closest to their ancient ancestor. Some people speculated that the Phoenix expert hiding in the clouds was the one with the bloodline closest to the ancient ancestor of the Phoenix clan. That existence from the Phoenix clan was also an expert who could contend against Ji-fan. However, this person was mysterious and unfathomable. No one had ever seen his true appearance. At this time, in the depths of the mountain ridge, two figures soared into the sky. They actually fought all the way to the starry sky, causing the stars in the sky to tremble as though they were about to fall. Everyone looked at this scene in shock. I have the limitless body, I can fuse with 10,000 Daos. What qualifications do you have to fight me? Ji-fan's voice rang out from the starry sky. His tone was extremely arrogant, giving off an insolent feeling as if he did not care about anyone in the world. When everyone heard this, they couldn't help but be incomparably shocked. Of course, this Ji-fan did indeed have the qualifications to be arrogant. Merging with 10,000 Daos, what arrogance! A disdainful voice came from the golden phoenix in the clouds. On a mountain peak, a white-robed young man raised his head and looked at the two figures fighting in the starry sky. The corners of his mouth curled into a sneer. Humph, is the limitless physique very strong? Back then, in the primal chaos world, wasn't it defeated by a single person? The figure who was fighting with Ji-fan said disdainfully. Ji-fan was infuriated. Back then, he had been defeated by Ji Fei in the primal chaos world. That was the greatest humiliation of his life. Now that the other party had mentioned it, he was too ashamed to show his face. Hearing the words of that mysterious person, everyone was shocked to the extreme. Ji-fan had actually been defeated before. How was that possible? One had to know that Ji-fan had the limitless body. There was no doubt about the strength of that body. Legend had it that the North Pole Emperor also had such a body. Since ancient times, there had only been two people with the limitless body. One was the North Pole Emperor, and the other was Ji-fan. According to legend, the body that could contend against the limitless body was the chaotic body. However, the chaotic body was only a legend. It had only been recorded in the oldest records of the North Pole Emperor. Who had Ji-fan lost to? Everyone was very curious, but the mysterious person did not reveal the identity of the person who had defeated Ji-fan. This made everyone's hearts itch. You deserve to die. Ji-fan attacked in a frenzy. Bolts of violet lightning rushed out of his hands, tearing through the starry sky and bombarding the figure in front of him. That was a great lightning technique. Back then, when he fought against Ji Fei, he had used it. His body could merge with the myriad Daos of heaven and earth. This was not a lie. He could seize his opponent's Dao fruit and then turn it into his own. The talent of the limitless body was absolutely monstrous. This was also why Ji-fan was the target that all the young experts of the North Pole Emperor wanted to surpass. The geniuses of the Phoenix clan and the Yun clan all saw him as their greatest opponent. This was a competition between people of the same generation. Even if those geniuses killed Ji-fan, the Ji clan couldn't say anything. However, if someone were to bully the weak and kill Ji-fan, that person would become the enemy of the entire Ji clan. The mysterious figure sneered. 9 beams of divine light surged from his body. As he was enveloped by the 9 beams of divine light, he looked like a celestial lord who had descended from the heavens. Vast and boundless saintly aura surged from him. The balls of violet lightning were blocked by the 9 beams of lightning that surged out of the mysterious figure. Rumble, the violet lightning wreaked havoc and a terrifying power of destruction tore through the void. 2 planets near the mysterious figure were swept by the purple lightning and immediately exploded. The 9 transformations heaven art. Just as the mysterious figure performed the art, A voice came from the city lord's residence of the flying celestial city. The tone of the voice sounded very surprised. Is that person from 10,000 years ago still alive? The voice in the flying celestial city spoke again after a moment of silence. Then, a figure shot into the sky from the city lord's residence. It was a middle-aged man in a black robe with a purple crown on his head. He took a step forward and entered the starry sky above. That person looked directly at the figure that was fighting with Jifan, and purple Dao patterns intertwined in his eyes. What? In the next moment, the middle-aged man's expression changed. He seemed to have noticed something. Even someone as powerful as him could not help but be surprised. Someone actually alerted the king of the flying celestial. Someone was shocked to see the middle-aged man in black robes. Chapter 2882. The Phaetian king's appearance caused a commotion in the starry sky. One should know that he was the true ruler of the Phaetian city, a noble conferred by the Ji clan. There was no doubt that this marquis was powerful. His appearance immediately attracted the attention of many people. How is this possible? At this moment, the Phaetian king didn't pay attention to anyone else. Instead, he activated his technique and carefully observed the mysterious person who was fighting against Jifan. He cultivated an eye technique of the Ji clan that could see through all illusions and illusions, down to the very source. No matter how the monster changed, he could immediately see through its true form. It really is that person, but how is this possible? How did he do it? The Phaetian king frowned. When the other used the heavenly art of 9 revolutions, he felt that the mysterious person had most likely returned. Now that he used his eye technique to observe, he was shocked and confused by the mysterious person's state. Rumble, at this moment, the starry sky shook. Jifan seemed to have activated the great path of heaven. An extremely powerful force of the great path surged from his body and blinding lightning flashed in the sky. With a wave of his hand, countless bolts of lightning of the great path appeared and bombarded the mysterious figure in front of him. Every bolt of lightning was as large as a mountain and tore apart the starry sky. A terrifying aura of destruction spread out, causing everyone's hearts to palpitate. At this moment, Jifan seemed to have truly melted the great path of heaven and earth into his body. He had become the world and controlled the power of divine punishment to destroy everything. However, the mysterious person's heavenly art of 9 revolutions was also impressive. 9 beams of divine light circled around him and bloomed with boundless light. It was as if a world of its own had been created around him. All the terrifying bolts of lightning that were bombarding the mysterious person entered that world and disappeared. Heavenly art of 9 revolutions, untainted by all laws. Jifan couldn't help but be moved. He never would have thought that the mysterious person had cultivated the heavenly art of 9 revolutions to the 9th revolution. Was this even possible? One had to know that the heavenly art of 9 revolutions was a heavenly art created by Ziwei the Great. It was a secret of the Ji clan and one of the Ji clan's top techniques. Jifan hadn't cultivated the heavenly art of 9 revolutions because he cultivated another heavenly art created by Ziwei the Great, the unbounded method. To Jifan, the most suitable method in the Ji clan was the unbounded method. He naturally didn't need to cultivate the heavenly art of 9 revolutions. However, the 9 revolutions celestial art, which was also created by the North Pole Emperor, was naturally not inferior to the unbounded heaven art. As a member of the Ji clan with the limitless body, Jifan naturally knew how powerful the 9 revolutions heavenly art would be if he cultivated it to the 9th revolution. Bzzz. The void trembled, and an extremely powerful devouring power surged out from the world around the mysterious figure, instantly devouring all the purple lightning into the world. Very good. I didn't expect you to have cultivated the 9 revolutions heaven art to such a level. Truly a surprise. Jifan stopped and no longer attacked. In fact, he had long since seen through his opponent's actual strength. Since his opponent was fighting him in such a state, the outcome of this battle was already decided. All right, the next time we meet, we'll fight to the death, said the mysterious figure. Then, the figure that was enveloped by the 9 beams of divine light dissipated in the void. Even the 9 beams of divine light turned into a rain of light. They flickered like fireflies before finally disappearing into the void. Ji Changkong, I'll wait for you. Ji Fan looked at the rain of light and muttered to himself. Ji Changkong. That mysterious person is Ji Changkong. Some of the older saints were shocked when they heard Ji Fan's words. They didn't expect the mysterious person to be Ji Changkong, who had disappeared for 10,000 years. 10,000 years ago, the primal chaos reappeared in the world. Ji Changkong entered the primal chaos in search of an opportunity to become a saint. However, he didn't expect that he would disappear without a trace. Everyone thought that Ji Changkong had died in the primal chaos. But now, his name appeared again. Furthermore, it was from Ji Fan's mouth. Some of the older generation seemed to have thought of something. They smelled a conspiracy. It seemed like Ji Changkong's disappearance back then was not an accident. I didn't expect it to be him. Is he coming back? The flying immortal king muttered to himself. 10,000 years ago, Ji Changkong was the number one person of the Ji clan's younger generation. If nothing unexpected happened, he would be the next clan leader. However, something unexpected still happened. At the crucial moment of the competition for the position of clan head, Ji Changkong actually disappeared. This caused everyone to be incomparably shocked. However, everyone knew how dangerous the primal chaos was. Not to mention Ji Changkong, even a saint would find it hard to protect themselves in there. Many people believed that Ji Changkong was unlucky and met with danger in the primal chaos world. Unfortunately, he died there. Only a few people of the Ji clan realized that this was not an ordinary accident. However, they couldn't find any evidence and could only give up. Today, one of Ji Changkong's clones returned. The secrets of the past were about to be revealed. Some people already realized that this secret would cause a huge commotion in the Ji clan. It's actually just a clone. Many people found it hard to believe that one of Ji Changkong's clones could fight against Ji Fan. If his real body came, wouldn't he be even stronger? The battle ended. Ji Fan returned to the flying immortal city. The saints in the starry sky also dispersed. The flying immortal king also returned to the flying immortal city. Although the battle ended, all the cultivators in the flying immortal city were discussing it. The result of this battle was out of everyone's expectations. They were all guessing who Ji Changkong was. After all, Ji Changkong was someone from 10,000 years ago. In the current world, not many people recognized him. Only the older generation had some impression of him. Very quickly, Ji Changkong's background was dug out. What? This Ji Changkong was actually an absolute genius from 10,000 years ago. Some people found it hard to believe. A genius from the Ji clan from 10,000 years ago. After hearing this news, all the cultivators in the flying immortal city were indescribably shocked. However, what everyone was most curious about was why Ji Changkong wanted to challenge Ji Fan and cause trouble for him. The news of Ji Changkong's appearance quickly spread from the flying immortal city. All the major powers in the ancestral star received the news. When the news reached the Ji clan, it caused a huge commotion among the upper echelons of the Ji clan. Chapter 2883. The strange phenomenon in the Land of Ascension stirred up the entire crepe myrtle ancestral star. Many experts gathered in the flying immortal city in hopes of entering the legendary celestial ground. The place where the Land of Ascension was located was the ancestral ground of a great sect. That sect had discovered some clues and decided to guard the place in hopes of obtaining the legendary Great Fortune. However, after waiting for countless years, that great sect didn't obtain any great fortune or fortune. Instead, it obtained a great calamity. No one knew what happened to that sect back then. It was destroyed in a single night, leaving behind only a huge ruin in the middle of a mountain. Who was it that destroyed such a great sect? No one knew because those who knew were all dead. However, the cultivators in the flying immortal city saw the strange phenomenon that night in the ancestral ground of the great sect. Boundless immortal light rushed out from the ancestral ground. Some said that it was a sign that the Land of Ascension was about to open. Everyone from the great sect had entered the supreme celestial ground. However, others said that the Land of Ascension had indeed opened, but a terrifying creature had come out and devoured all the disciples of the great sect. This matter had shaken the entire Crepe Myrtle ancestral star. Even the G clan had sent out experts to investigate, but in the end, they found nothing. After that, the matter was left unsettled. As time passed, only the old geezers of the Crepe Myrtle ancestral star knew a thing or two about what had happened back then. But now, the legendary flying immortal land was shimmering with immortal light again. This naturally attracted countless powerful beings to come over. The major factions of the Crepe Myrtle ancestral star all sent out experts, including some that could contend against the genius of the G clan, G Fan. Ever since the battle between Ji Changkong's clone and Ji Fan, the entire cultivation world of the Crepe Myrtle ancestral star was shaken. A white-haired old man walked out of the Ji clan's ancestral ground. The old man headed straight for the flying immortal city. At this time, in the ancestral land of the Ji clan, the current leader of the Ji clan, Emperor Ji, was unhappy. Back then, he had used the Ji clan's battle slave to enter the primal chaos world to kill Ji Fan. Who would have thought that not only did he fail to kill Ji Fan, his battle slave was also taken away by that fellow called Ji Yu Fei. This was his trump card. But now, it had become someone else's trump card. This caused Emperor Ji to feel so depressed that he almost vomited blood. "Where is Ji Wu?" Emperor Ji's voice came from one of the halls in the ancestral grounds of the Ji clan. Very quickly, a figure charged over from a distant mountain peak, entered the hall, and knelt before the throne in the hall. "Go and take a look. If it's really that guy, get rid of him and come back," Emperor Ji said expressionlessly as he looked at the figure kneeling in front of him. "Yes, Patriarch." The person called Ji Wu hurriedly accepted the order and turned to leave the hall. He stood on the stairs outside the hall and looked in another direction. There was a vast amount of immortal qi there. In the distant sky, in the sea of clouds, he could vaguely see divine mountains floating in the air. With a sigh, he shot up into the sky and flew towards the teleportation platform nearby. The ancestral land of the Ji clan was a large world, an extremely stable world. This world naturally came from the hands of the North Pole Emperor. Only the North Pole Emperor had the ability to carve out an extremely stable world. Although this world couldn't compare to the true flawless Great World, it was infinitely close to it. Ji Wu directly boarded a nearby teleportation formation, activated it, and left the ancestral land of the Ji clan. The ancestral land of the Ji clan was actually a world opened up by a supreme. If news of this were to spread, it would definitely cause a huge commotion on the entire Crepe Myrtle ancestral star. The North Pole Emperor's methods were simply too shocking. Of course, this was the greatest secret of the Ji clan. Only the core members of the Ji clan knew about it. Ordinary disciples likely didn't even know about its existence, let alone enter the ancestral land. In the outside world, the Ji clan had another ancestral land, or rather the ancestral court. The ancestral court came first, then the Ji clan, and then the North Pole Emperor. The North Pole Emperor was an unparalleled existence that came from the Ji clan. Ordinary disciples of the Ji clan only knew of the ancestral court, not the ancestral land. The ancestral court of the Ji clan was located in one of the few immortal grounds on the Crepe Myrtle ancestral star. The place where the Emperor's dragon vein converged was an immortal spiritual land. The ancestral court was protected by a supreme killing formation set up by the North Pole Emperor. Almost no one could invade it. Throughout history, there had only been one case of someone attacking the ancestral court. Although the Ji clan of the North Pole Emperor dominated the Crepe Myrtle ancestral star on the surface, and other factions couldn't shake their ruling position. However, in reality, the Ji family was divided into three major factions. Among them, the most powerful faction was the faction led by Empress Ji. The other major faction was Ji Changkong's faction. This faction had produced Ji Changkong, who had the potential to become the next clan leader. However, Ji Changkong had unexpectedly been lost in the primal chaos. After competing with other geniuses of the Ji clan, Emperor Ji finally sat on the position of the Ji clan leader. Ji Changkong's faction had been suppressed by the clan leader's faction for tens of thousands of years and was no longer what it used to be. Now that Ji Changkong had appeared, the faction saw hope again. Other than the clan leader's faction and Ji Changkong's faction, the remaining faction was the neutral faction. The neutral faction was the backbone of the Ji clan, and they were also the target of the two factions. However, the Ji clan's neutral faction hadn't chosen a side. They had always remained neutral. Because of this, Ji Changkong's faction hadn't been suppressed too much by the clan leader's faction. The clan leader's faction didn't dare to go overboard, so they couldn't monopolize the faction. At this time, whether it was the clan leader's faction, Ji Changkong's faction, or the neutral faction, they all sent experts to the Flying Immortal City. Very quickly, 3 big shots of the Ji clan arrived at the Flying Immortal City. The Flying Immortal King ignored them and didn't even come out to greet them. This made the 3 very unhappy, but they still smiled and went to greet the Flying Immortal King. Although the Flying Immortal King was a marquis of the Ji clan, his title wasn't bestowed by Emperor Ji, but by the Ji clan. Therefore, the Flying Immortal King didn't give a damn about Emperor Ji, and Ji Changkong's faction was snubbed by the Flying Immortal King. Only the neutral faction's big shot was received by the Flying Immortal King. The neutral faction's people were able to maintain their neutrality for countless years. This made the Flying Immortal King admire them a lot. The Flying Immortal King only invited the neutral faction's people, which naturally made the other 2 even more unhappy. However, whether they were unhappy or not had nothing to do with the Flying Immortal King. Chapter 2884. The 3 factions of the Ji clan sent their own experts to the Flying Immortal City to investigate the matter of Ji Changkong. When they heard everything from the Flying Immortal Monarch, the expert from the clan master's faction, Ji Wu, could no longer sit still. It was a dark and windy night. In a courtyard of the Flying Immortal City, a middle-aged man was sitting at a stone table under a tree. I didn't expect it to be true. That fellow really appeared. Ji Wu muttered to himself. On the table in front of him, there was a wine flask and a jade cup. He picked up the wine flask and filled the jade cup to the brim. Then he raised the jade cup and drank it in one gulp. Bang! He smashed the jade cup and stood up. Ji Changkong, don't blame me. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for being the clan master's enemy. I don't want to kill you, but I have no choice but to do so. Ji Wu's gaze became extremely sharp. At the same time, in another courtyard of the clan master's mansion, a white-haired old man laughed heartily. He was incomparably excited. His grandson had indeed returned. The old man set up a banquet in the courtyard. Then, he ate and drank alone with big bowls of wine and big mouthfuls of meat. Their branch had endured humiliation for 10,000 years. It was time to vent their anger and raise their eyebrows. He was celebrating his grandson's return. What a pity. It would be great if those old friends were here. As the old man spoke, he reached out and grabbed a jar of wine beside him, tilted his head back and gulped it down. Back then, he met Ji Changkong in the primal chaos. He wanted Ji Changkong to return to the Myrtle ancestral star with him, but Ji Changkong refused. After so many years, Ji Changkong had finally returned. Ji Changkong's return meant that many secrets from back then would be revealed. However, the clan master's faction did not wish for Ji Changkong to return. Back then, it was Emperor Ji's doing that caused Ji Changkong to be trapped in the primal chaos for 10,000 years. If it was an ordinary person, they would have died a long time ago. At this time, the neutral faction of the Ji clan was both happy and worried about Ji Changkong's return. He could already predict the consequences of Ji Changkong's return. Compared to the other forces in the Ziwei ancestral star, they were more than happy to see the Ji clan fall into chaos. It would be best if the Ji clan split up, only then would they have a chance to stand out. The Ji family was simply too powerful. No one dared to provoke them. The inheritance of a sovereign was no joke. Only when the Ji family fell into disarray would the other powers have the chance to stand out. Rumble, at this moment, immortal light suddenly rushed out from the area where the land of immortal ascension was located. A powerful aura surged out from the depths of the mountain ruins, causing the entire mountain range to tremble. Here we go again. All of the cultivators in the Flying Immortal City were surprised and overjoyed when they sensed the immortal aura coming from outside the city. Some people directly shot into the sky from the city and rushed into the depths of the mountains. Some strong figures had already arrived outside the flying immortal ruins. At this moment, the flying immortal ruins were emitting immortal light, enveloping the entire ruins. Those who approached the flying immortal ruins felt as if they had ascended to immortality. Their bodies were also emitting a resplendent immortal light. All the cultivators shrouded in the immortal light seemed to be intoxicated. Their bodies were constantly emitting immortal light and their auras were constantly weakening. In the end, even their primordial spirits flew out from their divine apertures and turned into rays of immortal light that dissipated into the void. What? The cultivators who were about to enter the immortal light and bathe in the immortal aura felt a chill in their hearts. They all stopped and stared at the scene with their mouths agape. The dozen cultivators who were bathing in the immortal light all fell inside one after another. Their essence turned into immortal light and fused with the immortal light. Even their primordial spirits turned into immortal light. The strangest thing was that the cultivators who died inside all had smiles on their faces as if they had truly ascended to immortality. What's going on? Did that great sect face a calamity like this back then? Someone said with a trembling voice. This is too strange, someone said with lingering fear. If they had also walked into the immortal light, wouldn't they have suffered the same fate? At this moment, a vague chanting sound came from the depths of the ruins that were enveloped by the immortal light. This caused the hearts of the cultivators outside to tremble. This was a great temptation. It was as if there was a supreme celestial master chanting a supreme celestial scripture in the ruins. The faint voice seemed to contain the supreme truth. This caused many cultivators to be mesmerized, and their consciousness began to blur. Some of the weaker cultivators began to walk forward in a daze and entered the immortal light. In the next moment, their bodies began to emit immortal light, and they directly fell to the ground. Their vitality was instantly sucked away. Roar! Someone roared angrily, emitting the divine voice of the great path. The cultivators who were about to fall into a daze immediately felt as if they had been given a wake-up call. Some of them immediately regained consciousness. When they realized that they had actually unknowingly walked towards the immortal light in front of them, they were all shocked and broke out in a cold sweat. However, some of them were still unable to regain consciousness. They walked straight into the area enveloped by the immortal light, and their bodies emitted immortal light. They fell to the ground with a smile on their faces, and no longer made a sound. This time, hundreds of cultivators were affected. Their minds were taken away by the faint voice that came from the depths of the ruins. They unknowingly walked into the immortal light and lost their lives. The Tao voice that came from the depths of the ruins was still lingering between heaven and earth. However, at this moment, everyone knew how terrifying this Tao voice was. Those with weaker cultivations immediately retreated. Soon enough, those below the immortal realm retreated. Only those above the immortal realm could barely resist the strange Tao voice coming from the depths of the ruins. However, as time passed, the Tao voice coming from the ruins grew stronger. The temptation was so strong that even the immortal realm could not resist it. The immortal realm retreated too. Not long after, the immortal kings had no choice but to retreat as well. In the end, the immortal emperors, almighties, and quasi-saints had all retreated. Only the sage-level beings were still persisting. What's going on? Did that great sect really perish like this back then? On a mountain peak far away, a white-robed young man was looking at the scene ahead. Within the immortal light that enveloped the entire ruins, there seemed to be a supreme immortal lord chanting sutras, and the shadows of immortals were faintly discernible. In another direction, in the sky far away, there was a chariot pulled by the divine beast Purple Cheline. Two sharp gazes shot out from the chariot and scanned the depths of the ruins ahead. This is a murderous immortal light. Who's playing tricks in there? Chapter 2885. It was a moonless, windy night. Boundless immortal light rushed out of the flying immortal land. A supreme aura emanated from the depths of the light, as if a supreme immortal master was chanting. All the cultivators were shocked. The perfect aura of the great Tao was irresistible to any cultivator. Many living beings walked into the immortal light and bathed in it as if they were about to ascend to immortality. Of course, These living beings who were lucky enough to bathe in the immortal light had truly ascended to immortality. Even their primordial spirits had turned into immortal light and died. There was great danger in the immortal light. At this time, only the sage-level living beings were still watching outside the flying immortal ruins. All living beings below the sage level had retreated. No one dared to approach. The divine voice of the great Tao coming from the depths of the immortal light was too tempting. As long as the voice entered their ears, living beings below the sage level would find it difficult to enter. They would walk into the immortal light in a daze and die. Is someone controlling all of this from the depths of the immortal light? Some sage-level living beings guessed. Boom! Just as everyone was hesitating, a powerful aura of the divine Tao suddenly erupted. A figure rushed out from a mountain far away from the flying immortal ruins. It was a living being shrouded in black aura. A chilling aura emanated from its body, and the air seemed to be frozen. A lunar frost dragon? The other sages were surprised to see that living being. It was a dragon, a lunar frost dragon. It was a branch of the dragon race. The lunar frost dragon was a dragon born in a place of extreme yin. It was naturally close to the essence of yin. An adult lunar frost dragon was extremely powerful. A dragon breath from its mouth could freeze everything within 10,000 miles. The lunar frost dragon charged towards the flying immortal ruins. It opened its mouth and spat out a black cauldron. The black cauldron flew out of the lunar frost dragon's mouth and rapidly expanded. Then, it floated above the lunar frost dragon's head. Hum! The black cauldron vibrated, and streams of yin essence descended from the cauldron, enveloping the lunar frost dragon below. Is that the lunar cauldron? Someone exclaimed. The extreme yin cauldron contained the extreme yin essence. It was an incomparably powerful sacred tool. Although it wasn't an exalted treasured cauldron, it could be considered as the most powerful sacred tool apart from the exalted sacred tool and the quasi-exalted sacred tool. At this moment, the lunar frost dragon used the lunar cauldron as a shield and charged into the flying immortal ruins. The lunar cauldron vibrated and the lunar essence chi surged, blocking the immortal light in the surroundings. The sage-level experts in the mountains outside were all shocked by this scene. They all stared at the lunar frost dragon with rapt attention. The lunar frost dragon charged into the depths of the immortal light and disappeared from everyone's sight. Even the most powerful sage-level beings couldn't sense the existence of the lunar frost dragon. The immortal light enveloped the area, and the aura of the immortal Tao was vast and mighty. There was an indescribable aura of the Tao that enveloped the area, making it difficult for the sage-level beings' divine senses to sense everything that was happening within. However, an angry roar soon came from the depths of the immortal light. The entire flying immortal ruins shook, and the immortal light that enveloped the area undulated violently like a golden ocean. Then, a figure rushed out from the depths of the immortal light in a panic. The figure's entire body was glowing with immortal light, and powerful strands of essence chi continuously rushed out from the figure, turning into resplendent immortal light. What happened? The sage-level beings outside immediately tensed up. The figure that rushed out was the lunar frost dragon that had just charged into the depths of the immortal light. At this moment, the lunar frost dragon desperately tried to rush out. Even the lunar cauldron on the dragon's head was emitting immortal light, and the grand patterns were continuously being worn away. Boom! With a loud explosion, the lunar cauldron actually exploded. Countless fragments shone with immortal light, and the extreme yin essence chi contained within all turned into endless immortal light, fusing with the surrounding immortal light. The lunar saint tool had been completely turned into scrap metal. Even the spirituality of the fragments had been worn away. Roar! The lunar frost dragon roared in grief. There was still a few thousand feet left before it could charge out of the immortal light. However, the origin of the great Tao within the lunar frost dragon's body was constantly being forcibly extracted by an unfathomable force. The powerful true dragon was only a few hundred feet away from the immortal light when it collapsed to the ground. Boom! With a loud explosion, the mountainous lunar frost dragon smashed a huge pit into the ground, and its body was half buried in the soil. At the same time, a blurry dragon figure rushed out of the lunar frost dragon's body, turning into immortal light and dissipating into the void. An extremely powerful lunar frost dragon had fallen in the immortal light, just like that. All the sage-level beings who saw this scene were indescribably shocked. That was the lunar frost dragon, a powerful sage-level being, but it had fallen just like that. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, who would believe it? The lunar frost dragon's cultivation was definitely not weaker than the average sage-level being. Moreover, it had the lunar cauldron, a very famous sage-level treasure even on the Myrtle ancestral star. The lunar cauldron was forged from lunar divine iron and contained the essence of yin. Once it was used, it could freeze everything within a radius of 10 million miles. However, that famous sage-level treasure had exploded right before the eyes of all the sage-level beings. It had been completely destroyed by the strange power within the immortal light. Could there be an unknown curse power within the immortal light? Someone guessed. Even the lunar frost dragon had fallen in there. This shocked all the sage-level beings outside the flying immortal ruins. They felt a chill run down their spines. No one dared to take the risk of entering the immortal light. One had to know that there were very few among the sage-level beings present who were stronger than the lunar frost dragon. Chanting continued to come from the depths of the immortal light, but everyone knew that great danger lurked in the depths of the immortal light. This immortal chant was definitely a demonic chant. Jifan, why don't you go in and take a look? Just as all the holograde beings were silent, a voice suddenly sounded. Everyone hurriedly looked in the direction of the voice and saw a white figure standing on a tall mountain in the distance. It was a handsome young man. Yun Tianzhao? Someone exclaimed in surprise after recognizing the white-robed young man. The genius from the Yun clan? Someone couldn't help but exclaim upon hearing this. Yun Tianzhao was a genius from the same generation as Jifan in the Yun clan. He was the only one among the younger generation of the Yun clan. Although Yun Tianzhao was young, he had defeated experts from the older generation in a row. No one had ever heard of him being defeated before. Humph! A sneer came from the chariot in the distance. The purple Cheline that was pulling the chariot kicked its hooves anxiously and let out a low growl. The Ji clan is a sovereign emperor clan. I'm afraid that only the Ji clan would dare to enter the flying immortal land on the entire ancestral star. Yun Tianzhao continued. He stood on top of a tall mountain. The mountain winds howled, but his hair and clothes didn't flutter in the slightest. Everyone agreed with Yun Tianzhao's words. Even the celestial yin cauldron had exploded in the celestial light. Perhaps only a quasi-paragon saint artifact or a real paragon saint artifact would be able to contend with the strange energy in the celestial light. On the ancestral Myrtle star, there was only one Emperor Myrtle. Therefore, the family that was most likely to possess a paragon sacred weapon was definitely the Ji family. Of course, a quasi-paragon saint weapon might be able to resist the strange force in the immortal light. Since ancient times, there had been many quasi-supremes on the ancestral star. The Yun clan even had a quasi-supremes in the past. Otherwise, how could the Yun clan have survived for so many years and still stand tall on the ancestral star? Any force that could survive from ancient times to the current era was not simple. If you want to go in, I'll keep you company. The voice came from the Cheline chariot. All the saint-level lifeforms were shocked. The two great geniuses of the ancestral star didn't seem to be on friendly terms. Jifan's arrogance was well known in the ancestral Myrtle star. One should know that he was a heaven's pride. Not only did he possess the limitless physique, but he also had a patriarch for a father. With such a physique and such a background, Jifan was indeed qualified to look down on all his peers. While the crowd was guessing how Yun Tianzhao would deal with Jifan, Yun Tianzhao soared into the sky from the mountain peak and charged into the flying immortal ruins that was shrouded in immortal light. What? Everyone was startled by the scene. Yun Tianzhao's action had really shocked them. The scene of the lunar frost dragon's death was still vivid in their minds. Yun Tianzhao actually dared to charge into the flying immortal ruins. Could it be that he had a better life-saving method than the lunar frost dragon? Yun Tianzhao didn't take out any saint weapon, but the void around him was distorted. Not a single ray of immortal light could get close to him. All the saint-level lifeforms were shocked by the scene. This Yun Tianzhao was really impressive. The void around him had formed a world of its own. It was like jumping out of the three realms and not within the five elements. This was the profound meaning of the void. Moreover, he had cultivated the great Tao of the void to the point of perfection. The body is like the void, forming a world of its own. Such words came from the Qilin chariot. The person in the chariot was obviously surprised by Yun Tianzhao's action, but he had already said it. Now that Yun Tianzhao had entered the flying immortal ruins, it was his turn. Just when everyone was guessing whether Ji-fan would also enter the flying immortal ruins, a figure had already rushed out of the chariot. I'll play with you. Chapter 2886. Under the night sky, the flying immortal ruins shrouded in immortal light was definitely a forbidden area with unknown dangers lurking within. Even an extremely powerful lunar frost dragon had perished in there and had been reduced to a cold corpse. This caused all of the holograde beings who had wanted to explore the flying immortal ruins to stop in their tracks. Among all the saint-level beings present, there weren't many who thought they could defeat the lunar frost dragon. However, Ji-fan from the Ji clan was definitely one of them. The Ji clan was a sovereign clan of the ancestral star of crepe myrtle. They had once produced a supreme being. Undoubtedly, Ji-fan had the confidence to enter the flying immortal ruins. However, to everyone's surprise, the one who entered after the lunar frost dragon was Yun Tianzhao from the Yun clan. Many people knew that Yun Tianzhao and Ji-fan were rivals. However, the two of them had never fought each other since they started their martial arts careers. However, as they were both outstanding talents of the younger generation of the ancestral star of crepe myrtle, many people believed that a battle between the two would happen sooner or later. At this moment, Yun Tianzhao and Ji-fan entered the flying immortal forbidden area at the same time. This attracted the attention of countless experts, especially the geniuses of the same generation as the two. Are they finally going to compete? Someone said. Everyone was looking forward to it. Both of them were known as geniuses of their respective clans. Although they hadn't cultivated for a long time, they had already surpassed the experts of the older generation. I wonder which of these two will become the number one of the younger generation. Someone stared at the depths of the flying immortal forbidden area, but he couldn't see or sense anything. Dazzling immortal light shrouded the entire space in front of them. In the depths of the immortal light, purple chi surged and auspicious colors bloomed. This was clearly a scene that could only be seen in a supreme immortal land. However, under this immortal scene, there was a peerless murderous intent hidden. Time trickled by. An hour passed, but there was no movement in the depths of the flying immortal forbidden area. Another 2 hours passed, and still nothing happened. All the saint-level beings were shocked. Could it be that even Ji-fan and the others were lost in the depths of the flying immortal forbidden area? How was that possible? One should know that Ji-fan was a genius of a sovereign clan. No one doubted Ji-fan's cultivation base and combat prowess, and no one doubted Yun Tianzhao's strength either. Both of them were the strongest prodigies on the ancestral star of Myrtle. When the sun rose from the east, there was still no movement from the depths of the flying immortal forbidden land. It was as if the two powerhouses had disappeared. At daybreak, the strange immortal light emitted by the flying immortal forbidden zone began to dissipate. When the sun rose, the immortal light that enveloped the entire ruin disappeared without a trace. It was as if it had never appeared in the first place. Many sage-level experts were shocked. Did Ji-fan and Yun Tianzhao just disappear like that? This was definitely a major event that could shake the entire ancestral star of crepe myrtle. Two heaven-defying existences had actually disappeared. When the immortal light disappeared, the divine sense of the saint-level expert instantly enveloped the entire ruins. No one could sense the presence of Ji-fan and Yun Tianzhao. In the center of the flying immortal ruins, a stone door appeared. It was an extremely ancient stone door. What puzzled everyone was that there was a bloody handprint on the stone door. The blood seemed to have not dried yet, as if it had just been imprinted. A stone door, a bloody handprint, all of this was extremely strange. The tightly shut stone door was covered with mottled marks left by time. There were even countless marks left by blades, spears, swords, and halberds. On the base of the stone door, there was an arrowhead. The arrowhead was covered with bronze, but it still emitted a faint murderous aura. Sensing the murderous aura from the arrowhead, all the sage-level beings felt their hearts palpitate. It was obvious that someone had shot an arrow at the stone door, but failed to destroy it. Moreover, the arrowhead that was stuck in the base of the stone door was still emitting a faint murderous aura. Countless years had passed, but the murderous aura still existed. One could imagine how powerful the creature who shot the arrow was. The divine sense of the sage-level beings was extremely sensitive. They immediately discovered the arrowhead that was stuck in the base of the stone door. They were all inexplicably shocked. Could it be an arrow shot by a supreme being? Someone whispered. Did Ji-Fan and the others enter this stone door? Someone guessed. Ji-Fan and Yun Tianzhao would definitely not disappear for no reason. It was most likely that they had entered this stone door. The stone door stood alone in the ruins, and it emitted an extremely ancient and vicissitude aura. No one knew what would happen after the stone door was opened. Someone stepped forward and tried to push open the tightly shut stone door. However, no matter how much that person activated the power of the divine path in his body, he could not move the stone door at all. That person shook his head and retreated. Then, a sage ruler walked over and also tried to push open the stone door. However, the result was the same as the previous person. Even someone as powerful as a sage ruler could not push open the stone door. That sage ruler sighed and retreated to the side. I'll do it. A voice came from afar. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and saw a figure shrouded in the golden divine light of the great path walking over with large strides. It was a golden deity. This race was the descendants of the Golden Battle Clan from ancient times. They were born with great power and their bodies were even more powerful than divine beasts. Moreover, this was a sage emperor. He was many times more powerful than the previous sage ruler. The aura of a sage emperor emanated from his body, and the surrounding void trembled. The cultivator of the Golden Battle Clan directly arrived in front of the stone door. He stared at the stone door for a long time before extending his hands and pressing them on the stone door. Roar! The Golden Deity Emperor roared angrily and his arms shook violently. Golden divine power immediately erupted from his arms, and a tremor sounded in the void. However, what made everyone's jaws drop was that the stone door did not move at all. What? Everyone was flabbergasted when they saw this scene. Even this Gold Saint Emperor was unable to push open this stone door? The Golden Deity Emperor's power was absolutely tyrannical. There was no doubt about that. He continued to exert his strength, and rays of golden divine light surged from his body. They were like bolts of golden lightning that wreaked havoc and tore apart the void. Rumble! The space near the stone door began to tremble. The rocks on the ground rose up, and as if they were weightless, they floated around the stone door. An extremely powerful sage emperor's aura erupted from the Golden Deity Emperor. Arth! Gold Saint Emperor let out a deep roar from his throat. The veins on his forehead bulged as he pushed forward with all his might. However, the tightly shut stone door in front of him didn't have the slightest reaction. No matter how much strength he exerted, the stone door didn't budge. Roar! The Golden Deity Emperor let out an earth-shattering roar. In an instant, all the power in his body was gathered on his arms, and he pushed forward. Boom! A violent tremor rang out. Everything floating in the void instantly exploded, and a terrifying wave of energy surged out from the Golden Deity Emperor. As the earth shook and the mountains swayed, hideous cracks appeared on the ground. Countless white bones were revealed beneath the cracked ground. There were actually countless skeletons buried under the flying immortal ruins. At this time, the cracks in the ground were revealed. Legend has it that the ancient sect was once incomparably prosperous. However, in the span of a single night, all of its disciples disappeared. Could they have been buried underground? Someone said something like that. At this time, everyone's attention was focused on the powerful figure in front of the stone door. 9 golden runes appeared on the Golden Deity Emperor's body and intertwined with each other. The power of the great Tao of the Saint Emperor was vast and mighty. Some of the weaker saints had already retreated far away, not daring to get too close. Everyone stared at the stone door nervously. However, the result was unexpected. The stone door was still tightly shut. The Golden Deity Emperor used all his strength, but the stone door was still not pushed open. In the end, the Golden Deity Emperor knelt in front of the stone door, panting heavily. All the saints who saw this scene were dumbfounded. The Golden Deity Emperor was a descendant of the Golden Battle Race. The power of his arms could shatter the void and shatter the earth. However, he still could not push open the stone door. Damn it! The Golden Deity Emperor quickly stood up and soared into the sky, leaving directly. He could not afford to lose face like this. The Golden Battle Race was once an extremely glorious race. On the ancestral star of Ziwei, this race had almost become an imperial race. Back then, the person who fought with Ziwei the Great for the throne was an extraordinary genius from the Golden Battle Race. Although this prodigy of the Golden Battle Race had been defeated by the North Pole Emperor, he didn't die. No one knew what happened to this prodigy of the Golden Battle Race. On the ancestral star of Ziwei, the Golden Battle Race was a cultivation force second only to the Ji family of Ziwei. Even the Golden Deity Emperor could not push open the stone door. For a moment, no one made a move. The news of the mysterious stone door appearing in the flying immortal ruins quickly spread, shocking everyone. All the major forces immediately sent their experts to the flying immortal ruins. While the flying immortal ruins was undergoing an unforeseen event on the ancestral star of Ziwei, Ji Yuzhong and his son, Ji Xiaofeng, were on the human race's ancient path that led to the ancestral star of Ziwei. Not only Ji Yuzhong and his son, but countless cultivators on the ancestral star also set foot on the ancient path. The human race's ancient path that had been sealed for countless years had finally opened. This was definitely a major event that shook the entire cultivation world on the ancestral star. In the ancestral star of the soaring dragon ancestral star, there were ancient teleportation formations that led directly to the human race's ancient path. Between the 5 ancestral stars of the human realm, there were ancient paths that connected to each other. This was actually a path of trial, a path filled with challenges and dangers. Chapter 2887. The appearance of the ancient path of the human race had shaken the entire cultivation world of the soaring dragon ancestral star. It was a path of trial, but also a path to become an expert. Although there were dangers and the possibility of dying on the path, as long as one could make it back and forth and survive, one would definitely become an expert. There were even people who obtained great fortunes on the path and almost took that step to become a quasi-sovereign. This was also the reason why so many people chose the path. Countless people from the 5 great regions of the soaring dragon ancestral star had embarked on the ancient path. The ancient path was connected to the 5 great ancestral stars, but it had long been abandoned. However, someone had used a supreme divine ability to connect the ancient path, allowing it to be reopened. No one knew who had connected the ancient path and opened it, but the superpowers of the soaring dragon ancestral star all believed that those who came back alive from the ancient path would become an expert. The waters of the human realm were probably deeper than the heaven realm. The reopening of the ancient path of the human realm had shocked the superpowers of the heaven realm. They all sent out their rising stars and prodigies from the human realm to set foot on the ancient path. Ji Yuzhong and Ji Xiaofeng had left, leaving only the Ironblood Daoist and Xiaoqing to guard the myriad phenomenon city. Ji Fei and the old tortoise were still in seclusion. Xiaoqing and the others guessed that Ji Fei and the old tortoise might really be taking that step. Otherwise, why would they be in seclusion for so long? In fact, there were many saint emperors and even great sages who embarked on the human race's ancient path. They wanted to train themselves and go further on the path of cultivation. Xiaoqing and the Ironblood Daoist wanted to embark on the human race's ancient path, but they could not leave the myriad phenomenon city because Ji Fei and the old tortoise were still in seclusion. However, on this day, Xiaoqing and the Ironblood Daoist were pleasantly surprised to see Ji Ling bringing Zhao Hao and Yang to the myriad phenomenon city's city lord mansion. When Xiaoqing and the Ironblood Daoist saw Ji Ling, they were extremely shocked. They thought that Ji Fei had come out of seclusion. However, when they asked Ji Ling, only then did they find out that Ji Fei was still in seclusion. Moreover, at the crucial moment, He was in some kind of profound and unfathomable state. It was as if his mind was wandering the cosmos, sensing all things in heaven and earth, the supreme principles of the great Tao. He sensed the opening of the ancient road of the human race, so he sent Jiyu Ling, Zhao Hao, and Yang out of his inner world. Jiyu Fei believed that it was necessary for Jiyu Ling and the others to take a trip to the ancient road of the human race, which was definitely a good thing for them. What? You want to walk the human tribe's ancient road? Both Xiaoqing and the Iron-Blood Daoist were shocked to hear that Guling and the others were going to walk the ancient road of the human race. One should know that the ancient road was not a smooth path, but a path paved with blood and bones. Throughout the ages, countless prodigies of the human race had fallen and lost their lives on the ancient road. That's right, this is Father's wish. Moreover, you two don't have to stay here. Do whatever you want to do. Jiyu Ling said to Xiaoqing and the Iron-Blood Daoist. That works too. Both Xiaoqing and the Iron-Blood Daoist were surprised. Did that mean that Jiyu Fei and the old tortoise didn't need their protection? They could even leave on their own? Why not? Uncle Qing, don't you trust even my father? Who in this world can hurt a martial sage who wields the cauldron of mountains and rivers? Jiyu Ling said proudly. Her father was her idol and her goal to surpass. In fact, she would be satisfied as long as she could catch up to her father's footsteps. Jiyu Ling was not yet a sage, but she was infinitely close to the sage realm. She only needed to pass the tribulations. Zhao Hao and Yang Er's cultivation had also improved rapidly. They both possessed heaven-defying constitutions, and Jiyu Fei provided them with countless treasures for their cultivation. It would be strange if they couldn't improve their cultivation base. Zhao Hao had the earth elemental physique. He was innately close to the earth elemental energy. As long as he stepped on the ground, he could draw the boundless earth qi for his own use. Xiaoqing and the Iron-Blood Daoist discovered that Zhao Hao had already become an immortal emperor. Such speed of cultivation was too shocking. How long had it been? Yang Er's cultivation base wasn't any weaker than Zhao Hao's. She was also an immortal emperor, but in terms of combat strength, she was superior to Zhao Hao. This was because Yang Er possessed innate Dao eyes that could see through all falsehoods. No matter how powerful one's divine ability was, she would be able to see through the truth and origin of the opponent. In this way, she would be in an invincible position. Jiyu Zhong's eldest disciple, Meng Long, was also sent out from his inner world by Jiyu Fei. Although Meng Long's physique was ordinary, he was still Jiyu Zhong's eldest disciple. Although he didn't have a heaven-defying physique, he had still cultivated to the immortal emperor realm. Even Jiyu Fei felt that Meng Long was a talent that could be nurtured. Even if one did not have a heaven-defying physique, one could still become an expert. One must know that Jiyu Fei's physique was extremely weak back then, but didn't he still reach his current level and become an invincible martial saint? Jiyu Ling, Yang Zhao Hao, and Meng Long embarked on the ancient road of the human race. The place they were going to was different from Jiyu Zhong and his son. They were going to the ancient road that led to the primordial ancestral star. The primordial ancestral star was the most mysterious ancestral star among the 5 ancestral stars. There were very few records about this ancestral star in the Soaring Dragon ancestral star. It was said that the ancestral star was the origin of life, and could be traced back to the most ancient era. Therefore, it was called the primordial ancestral star. Xiaoqing and the Iron-Blood Daoist didn't expect that Jiyu Ling and the others would actually want to go to the primordial ancestral star. It was said that it was the oldest ancestral star that contained the greatest secret of the origin of life. Of course, this was Jiyu Fei's idea, so he couldn't say anything. The next morning, Xiaoqing and the Iron-Blood Daoist escorted Jiyu Ling and the others to an ancient divine island high in the sky of the eastern region. There was an ancient teleportation formation on the divine island, which could be said to be a gateway to the ancient road of the human race. At this time, the divine island was filled with people. Not only the island, but even the sky was filled with people. There were too many people here. One after another, people stepped onto the teleportation formation and disappeared from it, setting foot on the ancient road of the human race. Beside the ancient teleportation formation, someone had set up a checkpoint to collect fees, which surprised Xiaoqing and the others. One should know that this divine island had suddenly appeared in the void, and was not created by the major factions of the soaring dragon ancestral star. Hehe, interesting. Ji Ling couldn't help but laugh at this scene. At this time, a green-robed young man walked over and was stopped by those people. Fellow Daoist, before you step on the ancient road of the human race, please pay 50 jin of supreme-grade immortal crystals. Thank you. Chapter 2888. High up in the eastern sky was a floating divine island. No one knew when or how this divine island appeared. It was as if it had always been there and no one had noticed it. But now, this divine island was densely packed with people. Even the sky was filled with countless figures. Moreover, more people were rushing over from afar. The eastern region was too big. There were countless cultivators and even many saint-level existences. The divine island was very lively. Many people used the ancient transportation formation on the divine island to set foot on the legendary ancient road of the human race. This was the path of the strong. Those who stepped on the ancient path and came back alive had all become experts that others envied. However, this was also an ancient path filled with dangers. There weren't many people who could come back alive after setting foot on the ancient path. Many people would never be able to come back. Ji Ling came with Yang Zhao Hao, and Meng Long accompanying them were Xiaoqing and the Ironblood Daoist. The appearance of Xiaoqing and the Ironblood Daoist caused quite a commotion on the divine island. Some people recognized them. Wanxiang City could be said to be the most eye-catching place in the entire eastern region. The Eastern Devil's Den had launched 2 large-scale attacks on Wanxiang City, but they were defeated by the city's experts. Such a result shocked the entire eastern region's cultivation world. As experts of Wanxiang City, Xiaoqing and the Ironblood Daoist were naturally well known. Is that Ji Fei's brother? Someone said quietly, giving Xiaoqing's group some pointers. They're here too. Are they also going to set foot on the human race's ancient road? Someone exclaimed. One should know that Xiaoqing was a great saint, a peak great saint at that. He was only one step away from breaking through the shackles of cultivation and becoming a heavenly sovereign. Even someone like him wanted to set foot on the human race's ancient road. Could it be that he wanted to use the ancient road to break through the shackles and become a supreme heavenly sovereign? Moreover, there were people who saw through Xiaoqing. Xiaoqing's true form was a true dragon. This was the ancient road of the human race. True dragons weren't humans, so how could they walk the ancient road of the human race? Some experts recognized Ji Ling. She was Ji Fei's daughter. This shocked the other cultivators on the island. Why did Ji Fei's daughter appear here? Everyone was shocked to discover that Ji Fei's daughter was not a sage, but a quasi-sage. Actually, many people had already guessed why Ji Fei's daughter came to the divine island. What else could she do here? He had to set foot on the ancient road of the human race. Sure enough, everyone saw Xiaoqing and his group walk towards the ancient teleportation formation in the center of the divine island. At this moment, a large group of dissatisfied cultivators had gathered at the location of the ancient teleportation formation. What right do you have to charge 50 kilograms of supreme-grade immortal crystals to let people step onto the ancient road of the human race? A green-robed youth angrily pointed at the embroidered-robed middle-aged man and shouted. That's right, this is the act of bandits. Someone argued with the person who set up the checkpoint. 50 kilograms of supreme-grade immortal crystals, not 100 pieces. These fellas were too ruthless. One should know that 50 kilograms of supreme-grade immortal crystals was not something an ordinary cultivator could afford. You poor bastards still want to set foot on the ancient road of the human race? Do you know that this ancient teleportation formation was built by our ancestors? Is it too much for us to charge a fee? A fair-skinned and plump middle-aged man in embroidered robes glared angrily at the crowd and shouted. How can you prove that this ancient teleportation formation was built by your ancestors? The green-robed youth gritted his teeth and said. These people were too much. One should know that this was the ancient road of the human race. It should be shared by the human race, But these people were trying to monopolize the passageway to the human race. Such acts of banditry made the cultivators gathered on the divine island unhappy. The mark on the teleportation formation is the proof. The embroidered robed middle-aged man said sternly. Monarch race. Has the soaring dragon ancestral star ever produced a supreme being who was known as a great emperor? Someone said disdainfully. Haha, I've never heard of it before. It seems that there was a great emperor Ziwei on the ancestral star. Are you from the Ziwei imperial clan? Someone said with a smirk. How dare you? The embroidered robed middle-aged man was enraged. You ignorant ants, how dare you look down on our monarch race? You're courting death. The embroidered robed middle-aged man said with a menacing look. At that moment, a cold snort was heard from a boulder beside the ancient teleportation formation. An old man with white hair and tattered clothes who was sitting on the boulder suddenly opened his eyes. Like two bolts of lightning flashing across the sky, the old man's messy hair looked like two twinkling stars. It was difficult to look at them directly. A supreme aura of sainthood burst out from the slovenly old man's body. Immediately after that, the faces of the countless cultivators gathered around the ancient teleportation array sank. Some of them simply blew up, their bodies and souls destroyed in the face of the might of sainthood. Someone acted immediately, protecting a large group of cultivators. Otherwise, more people would have died. The azure-robed young man was very unlucky. He turned into a mist of blood, his body and soul destroyed. The unkempt old man seemed to have no qualms at all. He killed a young genius right away. There were many cultivators who died along with the azure-clothed youth. For a moment, there was a great panic among the cultivators. All the cultivators gathered around the ancient teleportation array retreated like the tide. The unkempt old man sitting on the boulder beside the ancient teleportation formation did not do anything. He immediately closed his eyes that shone like stars and fell silent again. The extremely powerful aura of the sage path retreated like a tide, disappearing in the blink of an eye. The old man's existence seemed to only be there to intimidate the cultivators who wanted to cause trouble. He was not actually going to attack the crowd. But then again, were those people going to die just like that? I'd like to see who dares to look down on our monarch race now. The embroidered robed middle-aged man sneered as he looked at the panicking cultivators. A monarch race, how impressive. In the distance, Jiu Ling saw this and could not help but feel disapproving. Just then, Xiaoqing had protected them, which was why they were not affected by the aura of the sage path that had erupted from the unkempt old man. That old man is not as simple as he seems. Xiaoqing glanced at the old man sitting on the boulder beside the ancient teleportation formation and said with a stern expression, I'll go find out what's going on. Meng Long walked into the crowd as he spoke. Not long after, Meng Long returned. He learned about the origins of those people from the other cultivators. It turned out that the people who had taken over the ancient teleportation formation were from the Qin clan. The Qin clan was an extremely ancient clan. Chapter 2889. The sudden appearance of the Qin clan shocked many people. The Qin clan claimed to be an emperor clan. In ancient times, only supremes could be called great emperors. Since the ancient times, the title of great emperor couldn't be casually used. Only the strongest existences in the world could be called great emperors. Great emperors were supremes, supremes were great emperors. Even quasi-supremes didn't dare to call themselves great emperors. Since the Qin clan was called an emperor clan, they naturally had great emperors in the past. Only the descendants of great emperors were considered emperor clans, just like the Ji clan in the ancestral star of the Ziwei clan. However, all the major powers in the Eastern Domain had searched through all the ancient records in their clan, but they couldn't find a single word about the Qin clan. It was as if the Qin clan appeared out of nowhere. Because of the Qin clan's mysteriousness, many people were apprehensive. However, the only way to enter the human race's ancient road was through the ancient teleportation array on the Eastern Domain. Regardless of whether the Qin clan was an emperor clan or not, the fact that they dared to occupy the ancient teleportation array was enough to show how powerful they were. One must know that the consequences of occupying the ancient teleportation array were very severe. This would incur the wrath of the masses. The major powers in the Eastern domain weren't pushovers. Cultivators who wished to enter the human race's ancient road had to hand over 50 kilograms of supreme-grade immortal crystals before the Qin clan would let them pass. Of course, to some of the major powers, 50 kilograms of supreme-grade immortal crystals was nothing. Many people didn't want to offend the Qin clan and obediently handed over the immortal crystals before entering the human race's ancient road. Such people weren't in the minority. However, some of the major powers, such as the desolate Zhao clan and the Dongfang clan, were unhappy about this. It wasn't a big deal for others to hand over 50 kilograms of supreme-grade immortal crystals, but they couldn't. One must know that if they were to hand over 50 kilograms of supreme-grade immortal crystals as a toll, wouldn't they be telling the world that they were afraid of the Qin clan? Meanwhile, many people handed the toll to the chubby middle-aged man in embroidered robes and were allowed to set foot on the human tribe's ancient road. Ha, a wise man submits to circumstances. The chubby middle-aged man weighed the 50 kilograms of supreme-grade immortal crystals in his hand and glanced at the surrounding cultivators while laughing. Preposterous. Seeing the fat middle-aged man's face, many people couldn't help but become angry, but they didn't dare to say anything. Although the fat middle-aged man's cultivation wasn't anything special, the sloppy old man with messy hair was a true expert. "Martial uncle, what should we do? We have to pay the toll as well," Meng Long said to Gulling. He was also filled with disdain towards the Qin clan's banditry. However, the other party wasn't weak and had experts guarding them. Even Xiaoqing was very fearful of the sloppy old man sitting on the big rock beside the ancient teleportation formation, let alone the others. At this time, Yang and Zhao Hao were looking at Ji Yuling. The two of them naturally followed Ji Yuling's lead. Ji Yuling thought for a moment and said, "Well, there's no hurry. Let's wait and see." Xiaoqing and the Ironblood Daoist also nodded. The Qin clan was too mysterious. Since the people of this clan dared to occupy the ancient teleportation array, they naturally knew the consequences of doing so. Causing public anger was definitely not a small matter. Even the desolate ancient Zhao clan and Dongfang clan wouldn't dare to do such a thing. However, the Qin clan suddenly jumped out and dared to do such a thing. The Qin clan is too much. Not long after, a voice rang out. A powerful aura came from afar, causing the entire area to be enveloped in a desolate atmosphere. The cultivators on the Divine Island were shocked and quickly retreated. In an instant, the entire heaven and earth were filled with figures. Countless rays of light appeared between the heaven and earth like divine rainbows. This was definitely a miraculous scene because there were simply too many cultivators here. There were even saints who directly sent the cultivators of their clans into a space similar to an inner world. Soon, there were only a few dozen people left on the originally crowded Divine Island. Little Qing, Gulling, and the others naturally stayed on the Divine Island and did not leave. At this time, a figure came from afar. It was a white-robed middle-aged man. With a single step, he arrived above the island. Saint. When the white-robed middle-aged man saw the white-robed middle-aged man descending from the sky, his expression couldn't help but change. The white-robed middle-aged man landed on the ground. He glanced at the sloppy old man sitting cross-legged beside the ancient teleportation array before glancing at the white-robed middle-aged man. "Merely a clown, yet you dare to be so insolent here. You truly don't know the meaning of death." The white-robed middle-aged man's eyes flashed with a bright light. At this moment, the white-robed middle-aged man was incomparably shocked. He wasn't a saint. With just a glance from the white-robed middle-aged man, he was so frightened that he broke out in cold sweat and almost collapsed to the ground. As for the Qin clan cultivators behind the white-robed middle-aged man, they were in an even worse state. All of them stared at the white-robed middle-aged man in terror. Their countenances were pale and they were filled with terror. At this moment, the sloppy old man sitting on the boulder suddenly opened his eyes. A low growl came from the old man's throat, as if he was a terrifying beast that had been startled. Are they going to fight? On a mountain peak far away, a violet-robed Ji Yuling spoke. The white-robed middle-aged man suddenly glanced at Ji Yuling. After that, he turned his attention to the sloppy old man. Daring to provoke an emperor clan, this person isn't simple. Xiaoqing spoke. He couldn't tell the origins of this middle-aged man, but there was no doubt that this middle-aged man was someone from the immortal Tao. The middle-aged man's body was shrouded by the light of the great Tao. This was an incomparably powerful Saint Emperor of the immortal Tao. This was also the reason why this middle-aged man dared to act. Saint Emperors, even in this era where experts were everywhere, were existences that could look down on an entire region with disdain. I advise you to scram. Otherwise, you will have to bear the consequences. The white-robed middle-aged man wiped the sweat off his forehead and stared at the white-robed middle-aged man as he spoke with difficulty. The aura of the other party was simply too powerful. If it wasn't for the secret treasures on him, he would have died long ago. The other cultivators of the Qin clan also had secret treasures on them. This was why they didn't die under the Saint Emperor aura of the white-robed middle-aged man. Otherwise, they would have died long ago. Is that so? How about I send you on your way first? The white-robed middle-aged man suddenly grinned at the white-robed middle-aged man. Chapter 2890. The Qin clan was a nameless clan. Many people guessed that this clan might have once ruled over the world, but for some unknown reason, it suddenly disappeared. Or maybe the era of the Qin clan was too long ago, to the extent that no one knew of its existence. All sorts of guesses started to spread, but what truly piqued the interest of the experts was that since the Qin clan was known as an emperor clan, they must have once produced a supreme emperor. The strength of the Qin clan was what the experts were truly concerned about. Even the descendants of supreme emperors would decline at some point. For example, the martial ancestors' Tao inheritance was almost severed. Since ancient times, there were many supreme emperors who left behind their inheritances, but only a few of them could truly pass down their inheritances to the current era. However, since the Qin clan was an emperor clan, the various major powers of the soaring dragon ancestral star wouldn't underestimate this clan. The methods of supreme emperors weren't something ordinary people could imagine. No one knew what methods they would leave behind to protect their clan and descendants. At this moment, the appearance of the white-robed Saint Emperor attracted the attention of everyone. Everyone was happy to see someone probing the strength of the Qin clan. Roar. Without any warning, the sloppy old man who was sitting on a boulder beside the ancient teleportation array suddenly roared in anger. After that, he rushed up from the boulder. An extremely tyrannical aura erupted from the sloppy old man, causing the entire world to tremble. Even the sky seemed like it was going to flip over. The cultivators of the Qin clan, including the chubby middle-aged man, all screamed miserably as they were sent flying by the aura from the sloppy old man. Over 10 cultivators of the Qin clan were directly sent flying 100 li away, smashing into a mountain range. Seeing this scene, everyone was slightly dumbfounded. Wasn't this sloppy old man someone from the Qin clan? Why didn't he care about the lives of the cultivators of the Qin clan? However, at this moment, everyone's gaze was attracted by the sloppy old man who suddenly appeared. A ball of black light surged out from the center of the sloppy old man's brows. It was like a black divine sun was emitting a pitch-black divine radiance. The entire world instantly darkened, as though night had suddenly descended. Demon. Seeing this scene, Xiaoqing's expression turned even more solemn. He could faintly sense that the aura of this old man contained a bloodthirsty demonic nature. This, in the air, when many experts saw this scene, their hearts involuntarily trembled. Could it be that this old man had already lost himself? If this was really the case, then this so-called expert from the Qin clan was in danger. Kill. The white-robed middle-aged man made his move. A resplendent immortal light shot out from his body, turning into an immortal sword that pierced towards the sloppy old man. The old man seemed to have truly descended into madness. He stretched out his hand and grabbed the immortal sword of the great ways that had pierced through him. Then, he gripped the immortal sword with both hands and roared furiously. He suddenly exerted force and broke the immortal sword of the great ways. What? The white-robed middle-aged man was stunned. His great path celestial sword had been broken, and he had suffered quite a bit of damage. A drop of blood seeped out of his brow, and the strand of spiritual imprint he had attached to the great path celestial sword dissipated. At this moment, The sloppy old man's long hair danced in the wind. He opened his mouth and inhaled. A powerful force that seemed to be able to swallow the entire universe instantly enveloped the middle-aged man in white. Damn it! The white-robed middle-aged man's expression changed drastically. He flew towards the sloppy old man's mouth involuntarily. His body shone with immortal light as he tried to break free. However, it was all in vain. The Saint King of the immortal Tao couldn't escape even if he self-destructed his saint treasure. He was swallowed by the sloppy old man. Everyone was dumbfounded. An extremely powerful Saint King of the immortal Tao was eaten by the sloppy old man just like that. The Saint King of the immortal Tao had come with great arrogance. Everyone thought that there would be a good show to watch, but they didn't expect this to be the result. The mysterious and powerful old man did not go berserk after swallowing the Saint King of the immortal Tao. Instead, he flew back to the boulder and sat down cross-legged. The black light on the old man's brow dimmed. The black light that shot into the sky disappeared, and the dusky sky became bright again. Some experts felt the ripples of power from the old man and couldn't help but be shocked. Was there something wrong with the old man's body? Was he being controlled? The sloppy old man swallowed a powerful immortal Tao Holy Emperor in one gulp. This scene truly frightened many people. One had to know that the person swallowed by the sloppy old man was a holy emperor of the immortal Tao. He was not a weakling. He could even swallow a holy emperor. This old man was too terrifying. At that moment, screams of misery rang out from the mountain range 50 kilometers away. Soon enough, the 10+ cultivators from the Qin clan covered their heads and scurried away. They cut an incomparably wretched figure as they rushed out from the mountain range. These fellows had offended many people and were taught a ruthless lesson. What should we do? This guy can even devour Saint Kings. Should I go back and ask my lord to come? Said Ironblood Daoist. If there was no other way, he would go back and ask Jiu Fei's clone to come. He didn't believe that this old man could fight against his lord's clone. What's the rush? There's no need for us to do anything. Someone else will naturally do it. Let's just watch, said Xiaoqing. At this time, he could already sense that a major character was coming because a powerful aura had entered his range of perception. Gulling and the others heard this and immediately became spirited. The scene of the sloppy old man devouring a Saint King in one gulp was truly shocking. The sloppy old man had killed many people before. Some of these people had great backgrounds and were killed by him. The powers behind these people naturally wouldn't let this go. Rumble, very soon, a violet gold chariot appeared in the sky. A supreme aura of the divine Tao spread out from it, causing everyone's expressions to change. Putting aside the people inside, just the material of the chariot was shocking enough. It was violet azure divine gold. The entire chariot was made of violet azure divine gold. Violet azure divine gold was a rare type of divine gold in the world. Although it wasn't an immortal material and didn't have an immortal divinity, it was still a rare divine material in the world. During the process of refining an artifact, if some violet azure divine gold was added, the artifact's grade would directly increase by a large amount. Even quasi-supreme beings would be envious of this kind of divine gold. It was a divine material used by saint-level beings to refine artifacts. Beings below the saint level were not qualified to refine this kind of divine gold. This was because beings below the saint level could not touch this kind of divine gold at all. The creature pulling the chariot was an old flood dragon, a saint-level old flood dragon. A powerful flood dragon aura spread out from the old flood dragon's body. Wherever the chariot passed, the entire void shook as if it was about to be crushed by the chariot. Finally, a big guy. Chapter 2891. That mysterious old man from the Qin clan who guarded the ancient teleportation formation was extremely domineering. He actually swallowed an immortal Tao Saint Emperor in one gulp. That scene was incomparably shocking and shocked everyone present. Even Xiaoqing and the Ironblood Daoist feared the mysterious old man. One had to know that the black rod in Xiaoqing's hands was an extreme saint artifact, while the Phoenix's tribulation in the Ironblood Daoist's hands was an extreme emperor artifact. Even they feared the mysterious old man, let alone the others. Xiaoqing and the Iron-Blood Daoist protected Guling and the others. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't have been able to endure the aura of sainthood from the mysterious old man a long time ago. Their souls would have been destroyed. In the distant sky, there was a dense crowd of cultivators. But at this moment, no one said anything. They were all dumbfounded, unable to return to their senses even after a very long time. Rumble, at this moment, a violet gold chariot suddenly appeared on the horizon. It was a good chariot because it was made from azurite divine gold. The beast that pulled the chariot was even more shocking. It was actually an old serpent at Saint King. An extremely powerful serpent's presence radiated from the serpent. What a grand display! On a distant mountain peak, Guling couldn't help but sigh when she saw this scene. Even her father wasn't this flashy when he went out. One had to know that azurite divine gold was a rare divine metal. It was a divine material for saint-level cultivators because only saint-level cultivators could refine it. Cultivators below saint level would find it difficult to refine it into a weapon even if they had it because they couldn't refine it at all. The entire chariot radiated with an azurite aura, like a pulsing azurite flame. It gave off an extremely powerful pressure. At this moment, the violet gold chariot arrived above the ancient teleportation formation. Roar! The serpent roared at the sky. The might of a saint king erupted, causing the entire world to shake. Even the countless cultivators watching from afar found it difficult to breathe. At this moment, the dozen or so cultivators from the Qin clan had already fled to God knows where under the lead of the chubby middle-aged man. Shua! A resplendent gaze suddenly shot out from the eyes of the mysterious old man who was sitting cross-legged on the rock. The mysterious old man, who had already calmed down, once again erupted with a towering killing intent. An extremely violent aura appeared between the heavens and the earth. It was as if a terrifying beast that had suddenly been awakened from its slumber had been awakened. Everyone watched this scene nervously. Interesting. At this moment, a voice rang out from the chariot. The voice was lazy, as if it did not care about this mysterious old man who could swallow a saint king in a single gulp. At that moment, the old man suddenly raised his head and soared into the sky from the boulder. He opened his mouth and inhaled towards the war chariot in the sky. Rumble, space trembled as if the sky was about to be devoured by the heaven-devouring power from the mysterious old man's mouth. Pitch-black spatial cracks appeared in space. Jiu Ling and the rest clenched their fists when they saw this. This mysterious old man had swallowed an extremely powerful Saint Emperor in one gulp just like that. However, it was a completely different scene this time. Countless violet gold runes rushed out from the war chariot. The azure and violet aura became more than 10 times more powerful in an instant. The entire war chariot seemed to have turned into a violet gold sun. The light it emitted was much more dazzling than the real sun in the sky. So powerful. Xiaoqing and the others on the distant mountain could sense the ripples of saintly power from the war chariot. They could not help but be surprised. The person in the war chariot was impressive. He was most likely a saint sovereign. The violet gold war chariot was as unmoving as a mountain, but the mysterious old man was unable to swallow it in one gulp. Bzzz, just as the mysterious old man used the heaven-devouring technique, a rumble suddenly rang out from the war chariot. Afterwards, a beam of violet light shot out from the war chariot, piercing towards the unkempt old man. Xiaoqing could see very clearly that the beam of violet light that flew out from the war chariot contained a sword. It was a divine sword that shone with violet light. A chilling sword aura that could cause one's heart to palpitate radiated from the beam of light. The mysterious old man seemed to know how powerful it was, so he directly slapped the beam of violet light. With a clang, the beam of violet light was actually slapped away. Roar! The mysterious old man roared furiously as he retreated. The heaven-devouring technique immediately disappeared, and blood dripped from his right hand. Even though he had slapped away the beam of violet light, the mysterious old man had still been injured by it. There was a wound on his hand that was so deep that his bones could be seen. Everyone was shocked when they saw this. The mysterious old man was too ferocious. He actually dared to use his hand to block the beam of light from the expert in the war chariot. At this moment, The beam of violet light that had been slapped away by the mysterious old man had already returned to the war chariot. It was put away by the mysterious expert within the war chariot. Roar. At the same time, the violet gold cheline that was pulling the war chariot roared as it directly charged towards the mysterious old man. Its 4 hooves were flying in the air, causing the void to constantly crack. The mysterious old man seemed to be in a state of madness. Under his messy hair, his eyes were fierce and frenzied. He seemed to have lost his mind. He roared like a ferocious beast and also charged towards the violet gold cheline. Just as the two were about to collide, a ball of divine light suddenly burst out from the war chariot and enveloped the entire war chariot and the violet gold cheline. Boom! With a loud bang, the mysterious old man collided with the ball of divine light. The powerful impact directly sent the mysterious old man flying. Swoosh! At the same time, a figure rushed out of the war chariot and instantly caught up with the mysterious old man who was flying backwards. Then, with a wave of his right hand, a sword pierced towards the space between the old man's eyebrows. Buzz! Just as the tip of the mysterious expert's divine sword was about to pierce the mysterious old man's eyebrows, a ball of black light appeared between the mysterious old man's eyebrows and directly blocked the sword. The tip of the divine sword kept vibrating, but it was unable to pierce through the ball of black light in front of the tip of the sword. It pierced the mysterious old man's eyebrows. Roar! The mysterious old man roared. The ball of black light between his eyebrows immediately released a dazzling divine light. The entire world immediately became dark. A powerful wave of energy burst out from the ball of black light between the mysterious old man's eyebrows. The mysterious expert was actually sent flying. Chapter 2892. The mysterious old man from the Qin clan was very powerful. Even the mysterious expert who drove the chariot was knocked back by the supreme energy that surged from the center of his eyebrows. All the spectating cultivators became extremely shocked when they saw this. There was no doubt about the mysterious expert's strength. He definitely had a great background. However, the mysterious expert was unable to gain any advantage at all. On the island, Xiao Qing, Jiu Ling, and the others were shocked to see this. One should know that the mysterious cultivator was not simple. He had the cultivation of a holy sovereign. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for the mysterious expert to drive a chariot forged from azurite divine gold and have a Saint King old serpent pulling the chariot. Although serpent dragons had the word dragon in their names, they were not true dragons at the end of the day. The old serpent dragon was a Saint King, but it had not evolved into a true dragon. However, even though it had not transformed into a true dragon, the old dragon's cultivation and combat strength were not any weaker than a true dragon's. Xiaoqing was originally a Xiaoqing snake, but he possessed the bloodline of a serpent dragon, which was why he could evolve into a true dragon. Clearly, the old serpent dragon that pulled the chariot for the mysterious expert had a different path from Xiaoqing. Perhaps the serpent dragon did not care about turning into a true dragon. However, when Xiaoqing saw such a powerful serpent dragon pull a chariot for someone, he became rather displeased. From a certain perspective, the old serpent dragon was of the same race as him. Buzz! At this moment, the space there trembled. The ball of black light between the mysterious old man's eyebrows shot out. It shone with boundless dark light and directly shot toward the mysterious expert. This was definitely an extremely shocking scene. It was as if a black sun had appeared between the heavens and the earth. The black light caused the entire world to sink into darkness. Everyone was shocked to the extreme. As far as their eyes could see, everything was pitch black. Among the countless cultivators watching the battle from afar, there were immediately people who were unable to withstand the supreme pressure that erupted from the black sun and fell from the sky. Many sage-level powerhouses took action to protect their clansmen. Otherwise, more people would fall from the sky because they couldn't withstand the powerful pressure. On the Divine Island, the dozens of experts who were watching the battle from a close distance had no choice but to circulate their Xian Qi to resist the mighty pressure from the black sun in the sky. It's actually a holy venerate. Xiaoqing flipped his right hand and a black rod appeared in his hand. A wave of energy spread out from the black rod, protecting everyone on the hilltop. At this moment, The Iron-Blood Daoist had already used the Phoenix Calamity. The Phoenix Calamity hovered above his head like a divine phoenix circling and dancing above his head. The vast and mighty divine phoenix aura enveloped the entire mountain. Phoenix Tribulation. The mysterious expert suddenly glanced at the mountaintop where Xiaoqing and the others were, and then directly returned to the war chariot. At the same time, the black sun in the sky descended from the sky, directly suppressing the violet-gold war chariot. The void exploded, and pitch-black spatial cracks wreaked havoc like black lightning. The supreme energy ripples from the black sun shook the entire divine island. If the divine island wasn't protected by formations, it would probably have been destroyed long ago. At this moment, the violet-gold serpent that pulled the chariot became uneasy. The battle strength that the mysterious elder displayed was too powerful. The Holy Emperor was not a match for him at all. At this moment, the war chariot made from violet azure divine gold emitted a rumbling sound. After that, an extremely powerful ripple of energy surged out from the war chariot. Countless divine runes interweaved, drawing upon the power of the great Tao of the world. In the pitch-black world, it was as if a purple sun had appeared, emitting purple divine light. Under the purple divine light, the violet-gold serpent immediately quietened down. In the sky above the divine island, it was as if two divine suns had appeared. The purple divine light illuminated the entire world that was enveloped by the black radiance. The two supreme powers clashed. Rumble, the heavens and earth shook, and the sky looked like it was about to collapse. Under everyone's dumbfounded gazes, the purple sun that soared into the sky collided with the black sun that came crashing down from the sky. In the next moment, everyone was so blinded by the intense light that they couldn't even open their eyes. The two extremely powerful powers clashed together, and the resulting shockwaves directly destroyed the surrounding space. The void exploded, and the chaotic chi was blasted out. The two powers interweaved together, forming a destructive storm that swept out in all directions. The heavens and earth collapsed, forming a great destruction. This was the terror of the power of a holy sovereign. This was a scene that could truly destroy the heavens and earth. The destructive power that descended from the sky shook the divine island below. The entire divine island was shaking as if it was about to collapse. The experts on the divine island paled in fright. Some directly turned into light and rushed out from the divine island, retreating far away. However, some were very calm and didn't retreat. On top of the mountain, Gulling wasn't calm, but she didn't retreat either. Even if they wanted to, it was already too late. However, with the presence of Xiaoqing and the Iron-Blood Daoist, she wasn't too worried. One should know that she still had a backup plan. Even without the protection of Xiaoqing and the Iron-Blood Daoist, the power that descended from the sky wouldn't be able to hurt her. However, just as the destructive power was about to reach the divine island, a layer of divine light suddenly emerged from the divine island, enveloping the entire divine island. The powerful destructive power descended from the sky, causing the entire divine island to tremble. The sudden emergence of the divine light actually blocked the destructive storm outside. As expected, Gulling smiled. This was already within her expectations. This divine island was the entrance to the human race's ancient path. How could it be destroyed so easily? At this time, the two godly suns collided in the sky. The resulting shockwaves were extremely destructive, terrifying to the extreme. All the cultivators watching from afar could no longer remain calm. Even saint-level existences had to retreat at this time. Otherwise, if they were to be affected, their bodies and souls would be destroyed. The violet golden chariot itself was an unfathomable saint weapon. Under the control of the mysterious expert, it displayed its formidable power. Clang! Within the endless violet light, the sound of metal clashing resounded unceasingly. It was as if a supreme divine weapon was being unsheathed. Rays of divine light cut through the void, unceasingly slashing towards the black sun from the chariot. Chapter 2893. The two powerhouses were fighting with their lives on the line. The crazy old man from the Qin clan seemed to have really fallen into a state of bloodlust. His berserk aura shook the world, causing even the sage realm beings to feel uneasy and retreat further away. This was a scene that shocked everyone to the extreme. In the sky above the ancient divine island, there seemed to be a purple sun and a black sun clashing. Every time they collided, the entire space would be annihilated. The space further away would explode, and pitch-black spatial cracks would wreak havoc in all directions like black lightning. Every spatial crack was even bigger than a real mountain. There were even some spatial cracks that extended to the cultivators watching the battle from afar. On the spot, more than 10 powerful cultivators were devoured into the spatial cracks. They were directly torn to pieces by the chaotic turbulence inside, instantly dying in both body and soul. Seeing this scene, all the cultivators felt a chill in their hearts. They once again retreated far away like a receding tide. At this moment, the dozens of powerhouses on the Divine Island raised their heads to look at the battle in the sky. With the protection of the Divine Island's formation, the destructive power that came down from the sky was blocked by a layer of divine light. Even the powerful Saint Emperor's aura was greatly weakened by the power of the formation. "Uncle Qing, what are the origins of these two fellows?" Guling asked Xiaoqing, who was beside him. Xiaoqing held the black rod and frowned as he stared at the two divine suns that kept colliding in the sky, causing the void to tremble. "I don't know either. The one driving the war chariot should be a deity realm powerhouse. As for the old man, he's very strange." Guling was startled. "There's something strange about that old man." "That's right. There seems to be a demonic nature in that person's body that's eroding his mind," Xiaoqing said. With his current great sage cultivation, he could only see so much. However, the old man's secret was definitely not limited to this. Why did this old man have a demonic nature in his body? Could it be that this old man was a demonic cultivator? This didn't seem strange. One must know that since ancient times, there were many humans who had submitted to the demons. Most of the humans in the extreme North Demon region were demonic cultivators. Among these people, there was even an extremely powerful existence who became the demon ancestor of a region. Their cultivation was high, and their battle prowess was strong. They were not weaker than the real demon ancestor. Could it be that this old man wants to walk a different path to become an expert, so there's a problem with his body? The Iron Blood Daoist suddenly said. "It's not impossible." Xiaoqing nodded. Just as they were discussing, the battle high up in the sky had reached its climax. Two divine suns soared into the sky and actually charged into the starry sky. Divine blood dripped down from the sky. It was unknown who had been injured. All the living beings in the region sighed in relief as the powerful Saint King presence traveled into the distance. However, the pressure of a Saint King that descended from outer space still weighed on everyone's hearts like a mountain. "It's a chance." Many people immediately came to their senses when they saw the two Saint Kings leave. They charged toward the island from all directions. Just then, the layer of divine light that enveloped the entire island dissipated. Those cultivators who wanted to step on the ancient path of the human race all rushed toward the ancient teleportation formation in the center of the island. All of a sudden, hundreds of cultivators rushed into the ancient teleportation array. Even with hundreds of cultivators standing in the ancient teleportation array, it didn't seem crowded at all. Moreover, there were still countless cultivators coming from the sky and directly entering the teleportation formation. The number of cultivators in the ancient teleportation formation kept increasing. Very soon, the ancient teleportation formation was filled with tens of thousands of cultivators. However, what surprised Jiyu Ling and the others was that although the ancient teleportation formation was filled with tens of thousands of cultivators, it still didn't seem crowded. It seemed that there was another world inside the teleportation formation. This was the manifestation of the Tao of Void. The expert who built this teleportation formation back then seemed to have thought of this result. Therefore, he opened up a void in the teleportation formation. Even if more people were to enter this ancient teleportation formation, this ancient teleportation formation would still be able to accommodate them. Buzz. Someone activated the ancient teleportation formation. Countless runes appeared on the teleportation formation. Then, a ball of spiritual light enveloped all the cultivators on the teleportation formation. Seeing this scene, Jiyu Ling and the others couldn't help but be dumbfounded. It was their first time seeing so many people being teleported away at once. Even back when Jiyu Fei was fighting overseas, he didn't use the teleportation formation to teleport so many overseas soldiers at once. At that time, they used the teleportation gate. Compared to the teleportation formation, the structure of the teleportation gate was much simpler. The 9 sages worked together to activate the entire ancient teleportation formation. As the teleportation formation began to operate, the ball of divine light that enveloped all the cultivators suddenly flashed. A powerful energy wave spread in all directions. In the next moment, the tens of thousands of cultivators on the ancient teleportation formation disappeared. They were all teleported away. The 9 sages who activated the ancient teleportation formation stopped and retreated. Moreover, they directly left the divine island and disappeared into the horizon. At this time, the battle in the starry sky was about to end. Crazy Old Man was extremely domineering. The power of divinity and demonic nature erupted from his body and intertwined with each other. These 2 extreme powers actually appeared on the same person. All the sages who witnessed this scene were in disbelief. Sure enough, his walked a different path. Xiaoqing's gaze pierced through the void and into the starry sky. At this time, Jiyu Ling and the others' attention was drawn to the battle in the starry sky. "Uncle Qing, let's go up as well," Jiyu Ling said. With her level of cultivation, it was difficult for her to see into the starry sky. Yang Zhao Hao, and Meng Long all looked at Xiaoqing. They all wanted to enter the starry sky to watch the battle. It should be noted that this was a battle between sages. With their level of cultivation, such a battle was something that could only be encountered by chance. It should be noted that Yang and the others weren't even sages. Once a sage's aura was released, their bodies and souls would be destroyed in an instant. Only under the protection of Xiaoqing and the Iron Blood Daoist could they watch a battle of this level. "All right." Xiaoqing looked at Jiyu Ling and then said, "Whoosh." A ball of divine light emerged from Xiaoqing's body and enveloped everyone. The divine light shot into the sky and turned into a beam of light that entered the starry sky in the blink of an eye. Roar. At this time, Crazy Old Man roared crazily. An extremely terrifying aura erupted from his body. The power of divinity and demonic nature clashed in his body. Crazy Old Man didn't die from the clash of these 2 different powers. Instead, his battle prowess was raised to the limit, showing signs of breaking through to the Saint Sovereign realm. Boom. Chapter 2894. The Crazy Old Man displayed his supreme combat strength. He had walked a different path to become an expert, and he had already reached the most crucial point. As long as he could take another step forward, he might truly become a quasi-supreme. This was unprecedented. However, it was clear that there was something wrong with the Crazy Old Man's body. His mind was sometimes clear, sometimes chaotic, sometimes demonic, and sometimes divine. The power of the divine and demonic appeared on his body at the same time. This was an extremely dangerous path. If one wasn't careful, they would kill themselves. Of course, since ancient times, there had been many people who had embarked on the path of becoming a powerhouse. However, most of those who had embarked on this path had met with problems. Some died, some were barely alive, some went insane, and some made themselves half insane. In short, none of them had a good ending. There was absolutely no one like the Crazy Old Man who had walked the path of the divine and demonic. Boom. The Crazy Old Man directly smashed out with his right hand. Boundless divine light bloomed and directly sent the violet gold war chariot flying. His combat strength was tyrannical to the extreme. Seeing this scene, all the saint-level existences were dumbfounded. Although the Crazy Old Man's mind wasn't clear, his combat strength wasn't weak at all. Damn it. The mysterious expert driving the war chariot was both shocked and enraged. He never imagined that he would encounter such a monster. How could the divine and demonic powers be cultivated together? From the mysterious expert's point of view, the Crazy Old Man was definitely courting death by cultivating both the divine and demonic powers. However, not only did the Crazy Old Man not die, his combat strength even surpassed ordinary heavenly sovereigns. How did he do it? The mysterious expert couldn't understand no matter how hard he tried. Boom. At this time, the crazy old man's left fist smashed over again. This time, boundless demonic light bloomed from his left fist. It was as if a demonic sun had appeared in the starry sky. A supreme demonic power erupted. The violet gold flood dragon roared as the violet gold war chariot emitted a resplendent violet light. Countless Tao runes interweaved as a violet gold hand rushed out from the war chariot to meet the incoming demonic sun. Boom! A loud explosion resounded as the purplish gold hand collided with the crazy old man's fist. Then, a transparent spatial ripple spread out between the two of them like a transparent wave. Wherever the transparent ripple passed, the void was silently annihilated. Without any suspense, the golden-purple hand collapsed, and a fist emitting a pitch-black demonic light fiercely smashed on the layer of divine light outside the chariot. The violet gold chariot was sent flying again. Even with the protection of the godly light, the violet gold serpent that was pulling the chariot was still impacted and coughed up blood. At this moment, the right half of the crazy old man's body was shining with divine light, while the left half of his body was shrouded in demonic aura. Even so, these two completely different powers were in a delicate balance. It was like the two extremes of yin and yang. Divinity was yang, and demonic nature was yin. The crazy old man himself was like the line that separated yin and yang. Perhaps it was precisely because of this that the mad old man was able to gather the power of both divinity and demonic nature. Of course, there were many people who knew this principle, but absolutely no one was willing to try it. It should be known that this could lead to death, because people had already tried it before. Back then, Dongfang Chen had obtained this inheritance, but in the end, he still died at the hands of Ji Yufei. At this moment, Xiaoqing led everyone into the starry sky and watched the battle from afar. They had the Black Rod and the Phoenix Tribulation, so even if they faced a powerhouse like the Sacred Venerate, they could still escape unscathed. Furthermore, Ji Yufei wouldn't let his daughter be in danger. Yang and Zhao Hao were disciples that Ji Yufei valued. Of course, Yang was Gulling's disciple, and Meng Long was Ji Yuzhong's disciple. They were both Ji Yufei's disciples, so they were both good seedlings. Since Ji Yufei had allowed them to step onto the human race's ancient road, he naturally wouldn't send them to their deaths. Is that old man really crazy? Gulling looked at the crazy old man in the distant starry sky and exclaimed. I don't know. Xiaoqing was very direct. It was impossible for him to know the current state of the crazy old man. No one knew if this old man had truly fallen into a state of madness. Roar. The crazy old man roared into the sky, causing over 10 stars in the starry sky to explode. It was incomparably terrifying. Swish. The crazy old man took a step forward, and his hair danced wildly in the wind as he charged towards the violet gold war chariot. Beneath his disheveled hair, there was a strange glint in his eyes. A divine light shot out from the old man's left eye, as bright and clear as the stars. He didn't seem crazy at all, but his left eye was emitting a crazed and bloodthirsty blood-red light. However, just as the crazy old man was about to attack the violet gold war chariot, he suddenly roared and directly fell from the starry sky. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked. At this moment, the crazy old man hugged his head and howled in pain, pulling his hair in a frenzy. The crazy old man pulled out a huge chunk of his hair, together with his scalp. It was a ghastly sight to behold. What's wrong? In the distant sky, Gulling and the others were incomparably shocked when they saw this scene. At this moment, the mysterious expert who was driving the war chariot heaved a sigh of relief. That crazy old man was too strong and terrifying. If it wasn't for this war chariot, he would have long been killed by this crazy old man. I'll take your life while you're down. The mysterious expert drove the violet gold war chariot with all his might. Streaks of extremely sharp sword light shot out from the war chariot, transforming into a heaven-shaking divine rainbow that slashed towards the crazy old man who was falling from the sky. Wherever the sword light passed, the body of the crazy old man was actually cleaved into pieces. Roar. The crazy old man roared in rage. Bang! His head exploded. After that, the power of divinity and demonic nature separated. Amidst the divine light that shot up into the sky, The shattered pieces of flesh and blood gathered together as a figure appeared within the divine light. At the same time, a ball of demonic light wrapped around the other piece of flesh and blood. The flesh and bones were reconstructed, and a demonic figure appeared within the demonic light, emitting an extremely powerful demonic aura. What? Everyone was stunned when they saw this scene. The crazy old man had actually split into two. One of them was like a deity that had descended into the world from the 9 heavens, and a supreme aura of the divine Tao swept out mightily from his body. On the other hand, the other person's entire body surged with demonic energy, and a terrifying demonic aura swept through the starry sky. How could this be possible? Everyone was dumbstruck. A slovenly old man had actually split into two people. Moreover, these two people were actually middle-aged men with tall and mighty figures. Chapter 2895. No one expected to see such a shocking scene. It was truly unbelievable. The crazy old man had actually turned into two people. Moreover, the two people that the crazy old man had turned into were incredible. One was divine, like a deity that had descended from the heavens, while the other was evil and ferocious, like a demon ancestor that had descended into the world. To a certain extent, these two people were the crazy old man. One was his divine body, while the other was his demonic body. At this moment, the divine body and demonic body soared into the sky, directly attacking the violet gold chariot in the starry sky. A terrifying aura spread out, shaking the starry sky. The battle erupted once again, and this time, the mysterious expert controlling the violet gold chariot was even less of a match. Boom! A beam of divine light as huge as a galaxy swept the violet gold chariot and sent it flying. If it weren't for the divine light that surged out of the chariot to protect the violet gold old flood dragon that was pulling the chariot, who knew how many times the old flood dragon would have died? Roar! The serpent that was pulling the chariot roared. After being swept by the divine light just now, who knew how many bones in its body had been broken in an instant? A powerful serpent's power surged out of the serpent's body, and the broken bones rapidly healed. At this moment, the crazy old man's demonic body attacked again. With a slap of his hand, the violet gold chariot and the serpent that was pulling it were sent flying again. This time, the serpent's body directly exploded, turning into a bloody mist. A spirit wrapped in demonic light appeared in the bloody mist. Cracks actually appeared on the chariot, which shocked the mysterious expert in the chariot. One must know that the chariot was forged from violet azure divine gold. Boom! Just as the chariot was sent flying, a Tao diagram surged out of the chariot. In the next moment, the void collapsed, and the entire chariot directly broke through the void, fleeing into the chaos. No one expected the mysterious expert to retreat. The crazy old man's divine body and demonic body wanted to stop him, but it was too late. Roar! The crazy old man's demonic body roared into the sky. The entire starry sky trembled from his roar, and all the saints who witnessed this scene felt their hearts palpitate. This was a crazy great demon, the demonic side of the crazy old man. It represented all of the crazy old man's negative energy, and it was extremely evil. Shua! The demon vanished into space, and then it actually appeared in another part of the starry sky. It grabbed a saint who was watching the battle and tore that saint into pieces. When the saints saw this, they were truly shocked. This ferocious demon was far more ferocious than they had imagined, and its murderous nature far surpassed that of ordinary demons. After being bathed in the sacred blood, the crazy old man's demonic body became even more berserk. His blood-red eyes swept the surroundings, and all the sacred-level creatures that he saw felt their hearts palpitate. Shua! Crazy old man's devil body disappeared once more. In the next instant, a furious roar rang out from another direction. A devil figure appeared there and started fighting with a powerful humanoid creature. However, the battle soon came to an end. That humanoid being was killed by the crazy old man's demonic body, and then swallowed by the crazy old man. Roar! Mad old man's devil body was howling madly. What happened? All the sacred-level creatures that were watching the battle from the starry sky felt uneasy. Crazy old man's demonic body was extremely powerful. If they were targeted by this demon, it would definitely be fatal. After all, This was a great demon that could kill a saint venerable. Some of the sacred level creatures started to retreat. However, Crazy Old Man's demonic body started a massacre once more. Many powerful sacred level creatures were hunted down and swallowed by it. "Let's go," Gulling said to Xiaoqing in the starry sky. Crazy Old Man's demonic body had already gone out of control, and he was going on a killing spree. Sooner or later, this demon would target them, and they would be in trouble. "All right." Xiaoqing nodded. However, just as they were about to leave, a demonic figure suddenly appeared in front of them. An extremely violent demonic aura swept out from the demonic figure. Rumble, the void trembled, and strands of demonic aura formed demonic chains that reached into the void. They were actually devouring the energy of the world. This, Gulling's shock was no small matter. She had seen this devil's ferocity with her own eyes. This was a demon that ate sacred level creatures raw. An extremely powerful devouring power erupted from Crazy Old Man's demonic body. He seemed to have turned into a terrifying black hole that devoured everything around him. Gulling saw the void collapse as the energy of the world gathered from all directions and entered Crazy Old Man's demonic body. He was devouring the sky and the energy of the world's great Tao. Buzz. The Phoenix Tribulation in the Iron Blood Daoist's hand erupted with an extremely powerful wave of the power of the Divine Phoenix. 9 Divine Phoenix Tao patterns rushed out of the Phoenix Tribulation and imprinted themselves in the surrounding void, protecting everyone. "Senior sister, this," Zhao Hao was shocked to the extreme. The ferocious devil in front of him was truly too terrifying. This caused his mind to tremble. He had never seen such a powerful devil before. Yang Er was also pale. She grabbed her master Gulling's hand. "What are you afraid of? It's just a devil." Gulling forced herself to calm down. "This is bad." At this time, Xiaoqing discovered to his surprise that they couldn't leave. They had been sucked in by the devouring power that erupted from Crazy Old Man's demonic body. Buzz. The black rod in Xiaoqing's hand was emitting a powerful aura. He gripped it tightly and stared at the devil. His forehead was sweating as he felt immense pressure. Boom. At this time, a beam of divine light shot out from afar and blasted Crazy Old Man's demonic body away. Crazy Old Man's divine body had made its move. The demonic body was blasted into the depths of the starry sky and smashed into a star. "What's going on?" Gulling and the others were shocked. Crazy Old Man's divine body and demonic body were fighting. Wasn't this a battle between themselves? A terrifying battle erupted and shook the starry sky. Crazy Old Man's divine body and demonic body were fighting with all their might. They both wanted to defeat the other and take the dominant position. That's right, the dominant position. Crazy Old Man's divine body and demonic body wanted to devour each other and raise their cultivation bases. However, the demonic body was too strange and uncontrollable. If it was allowed to grow, the entire human world would be destroyed. This was a monster cultivated by Crazy Old Man. It was different from ordinary demons. Such an existence only knew how to kill and destroy. It could be said to be the purest devil in the world. Seeing this scene, all the saint-level beings in the starry sky felt their hearts palpitating. Some chose to retreat, while some stronger existences chose to stay and watch the battle. "Let's go. I'll send you guys on the humans' ancient path first," Xiaoqing said to Gulling with a lingering fear in his heart. "All right." Gulling nodded. Right now, she thirsted for power. The human's ancient path was a good choice. She wanted to become the strongest expert in this world. Only then would she be able to truly live a carefree life. Yang Er and Zhao Hao naturally had no objections. Meng Long and the Iron Blood Daoist had no objections either. And so, Xiaoqing and the Iron Blood Daoist escorted Gulling and the others out of the starry sky. They directly went to the ancient teleportation array on the Divine Island. However, just as Xiaoqing and the Iron Blood Daoist escorted Gulling and the others to the teleportation array on the Divine Island, the fat middle-aged man from the Qin clan appeared out of nowhere. "Stop, stop, stop. Don't look around. I'm talking to you guys." The fat middle-aged man jogged and stopped in front of Xiaoqing and the others, blocking their way. "You again. When Gulling saw this fat middle-aged man, a look of disgust immediately appeared on her face. This beautiful lady, have we met before? The fat middle-aged man scratched his head and looked at Gulling with a hint of doubt. You know I'm beautiful. Gulling laughed. She was wearing a veil, so this guy couldn't see her face at all. It seemed like this guy was a wily old fox, not easy to fool. Haha, of course I know. A woman with a pair of beautiful eyes will naturally have an extremely beautiful appearance. The fat middle-aged man smiled and sized Gulling up. His eyes were filled with an evil light. Uncle Ching, dig out this guy's eyeballs for me immediately, Gulling suddenly said in a stern voice. What? The fat middle-aged man was stunned when he heard this. All right. Xiaoqing took a step forward and stretched out his right hand, directly grabbing towards the fat middle-aged man. Help! The fat middle-aged man's face instantly turned green. He shouted and turned to escape. However, Xiaoqing was a great sage. The fat middle-aged man wasn't even a sage. How could he escape? He flew towards Xiaoqing. Dao friend, you've crossed the line. Seeing that the fat middle-aged man was about to be unlucky, a voice came from the side. Then, a slender jade-like hand stretched out from the side and grabbed the fat middle-aged man. Xiaoqing looked up and saw a masked woman in white had already thrown the fat middle-aged man behind her. Who are you? Xiaoqing looked at the masked woman in white and felt a little surprised. This woman was enveloped in a layer of white light. Her silhouette was faintly discernible, giving off a feeling that she had jumped out of the 3 realms and didn't belong to the 5 elements. This white-robed woman didn't seem to belong to the human world. Qin Yao, the white-robed woman said. Qin clan. Xiaoqing was startled when he heard this. Could there really be a Qin clan in the human world? At this moment, Gulling and the others were looking at this white-robed woman curiously. That's right, Qin clan. The white-robed woman said. Your Qin clan is a little too much. This teleportation array should belong to the human race. Why are you stopping the elites of the human race from stepping on the ancient road? Chapter 2896. When Xiaoqing and Ironblood Daoist escorted Jiyu Ling and the others to the Divine Island again, the people of the Qin clan appeared out of nowhere and set up a barrier to collect fees. This made Jiyu Ling and the others very angry. Qin clan is too much. Xiaoqing and the others stared coldly at the masked woman in white. It's not too much because this teleportation array was created by an old ancestor of my Qin clan. Isn't it reasonable to collect some fees? The woman in white said disapprovingly. That means, you will continue to collect fees. Xiaoqing looked at the woman in white and said expressionlessly. What do you think? The woman in white, Qin Yao, said. Then there's no room for discussion. When Little Qing said that, a powerful aura immediately spread out from his body, and the power of the Great Sage level fluctuated mightily. True Dragon Great Sage. The woman in white, Qin Yao, could see through Xiaoqing's strength with a single glance. This, hearing Qin Hao's words, Jiyu Ling and the others couldn't help but be shocked. Their intuition told them that this mysterious woman of the Qin clan was definitely not simple. Good, very good. Then, I'll have to ask you for advice. As Little Qing spoke, he took a step forward. A great sage level pressure immediately surged towards the woman in white opposite. The ground under his feet immediately cracked and formed a series of cracks. Mitch, you're courting death. You actually dare to challenge the princess of my clan. Aren't you courting death? At this time, the fatty limped out from the forest in the distance. Just now, he was thrown into the forest by the woman in white. It seemed that his leg was injured. Princess. When everyone heard this, they couldn't help but be shocked. These 2 words were incredible. The Qin clan claimed to be an emperor clan, so naturally, they had a great sovereign. Great sovereign was actually an extreme Dao sovereign. Only an extreme Dao sovereign could be called a great emperor. Didn't that mean that the princess was the daughter of the Qin clan's great emperor? She was a direct descendant of a great emperor. Her background was simply unimaginable. Even Xiaoqing couldn't help but feel slightly nervous at this moment. That was Lady. She was a direct descendant of an exalt, and someone who possessed the bloodline of an exalt was definitely an unimaginably formidable existence. Get lost. The white-clothed woman, Qin Yarrow, glared at the fatty and said. Yes, yes, yes. The white-haired fatty hurriedly retreated into the distance. Crown Princess. Xiaoqing stared at the woman in white in front of him. Qin Yarrow did not say anything, as if she had tacitly agreed to it. This caused Xiaoqing to feel an immense pressure. Could this person really be an imperial princess? No one would answer his question. Come, let me see what shocking capabilities the princess of the Qin clan has. Xiaoqing's battle intent was like a rainbow. His long hair fluttered even though there was no wind. The gaze in his eyes was like a sharp sword as he glanced at Qin Yarrow. At this moment, Jiyu Ling and the others retreated under the protection of Ironblood Daoist. The phoenix calamity in his hand emitted a divine phoenix force that enveloped everyone, isolating the great sage pressure from Xiaoqing's body. Then I'll spar with you. Qin Yarrow said calmly. Xiaoqing didn't speak anymore. He stretched out his right hand and directly grabbed towards the white-clothed woman opposite him. There was a flickering light on his palm, emitting a clanging sound, as if a peerless Dao weapon was unsheathed. Secret art of the Dragon Clan? Qin Yarrow's eyes brightened, and a purple light emerged from her glabella. Buzz. A sword chime sounded, and a purple sword shadow rushed out from her glabella, piercing towards Xiaoqing. Clang. Little Qing was taken aback. She moved her right hand forward and directly slapped the purple sword light that pierced through the air, causing a metallic sound to ring out. The purple sword light that rushed out from Qin Yarrow's glabella was extraordinarily powerful. The moment Xiaoqing's right hand slapped on the sword light, a chilling aura came from the sword light. This made Xiaoqing shudder. At this moment, the purple sword light flew past his body from his left side. Xiaoqing only felt a chilling aura attacking his body. This was the sword qi emitted from the purple sword light. He subconsciously touched his shoulder and saw that his hand was full of blood. This, Xiaoqing couldn't help but be taken aback. Although he was not directly swept by the sword light, the sword qi that spread from the purple sword light still hurt him. Primordial spirit sword of Wei. It doesn't seem like it. Xiaoqing's heart trembled. At this moment, the purple sword light made a turn in the void, still piercing towards him. The chilling sword qi spread out, and the temperature of the entire void dropped rapidly under the impact of the sword qi. Chaotic reversal. Xiaoqing directly used the 9 secrets of the immortal path. A special wave of the power of the great path spread out from his hands, and the power of chaotic reversal exploded. Swoosh. The purple sword shadow actually changed its direction and pierced towards the white-clothed woman, Qin Yarrow. Qin Yarrow was shocked. She never would have thought that the true dragon great sage would have such a method to reverse her attack. It was truly a bit frightening. Just as the purple sword light was about to pierce Qin Yarrow, it instantly dissipated in the void, turning into specks of purple light that entered Qin Yarrow's body. That works too. Everyone was a bit dumbfounded at this scene. What kind of magic was this? It could actually make the condensed sword light dissipate in an instant, and then devour the power of the sword light back into the body. Net of heaven and earth. Qin Yarrow shouted and extended her hand. A purple light rushed out from her hand, turning into a huge net that enveloped Xiaoqing. At the same time, the ground cracked and a ball of earth fire surged out, turning into a fire net that shot towards Xiaoqing. It really is a net of heaven and earth. Jiyu Ling couldn't help but be surprised at this scene. The net of heaven and net of earth combined and trapped Xiaoqing in an instant. An extremely terrifying aura burst out as a ball of divine fire wrapped around Xiaoqing, wanting to refine him. Good move. Xiaoqing sat cross-legged in the divine fire, allowing it to burn him. He didn't even use his Shen Qi to resist it. He had the true dragon body, which was extremely strong. Even if the earth fire and heaven fire were to burn him together, they wouldn't be able to hurt him at all. The true dragon great sage's body is really strong. Qin Yarrow said. Seems like I have to be more serious. Xiaoqing said. Then, his body shook and a powerful true dragon energy exploded from his body, directly shattering the net of heaven and earth. Roar. An azure dragon appeared in the sky, roaring towards the sky. The entire divine island shook, attracting everyone's attention. It's Jiyu Fei's brother. Someone recognized Xiaoqing and was very surprised. One should know that Xiaoqing's big brother was a ruthless person in both the heaven realm and the human realm. He didn't even care about the Supreme's inheritance and dared to go against the Dongfang clan and the Zhao clan. The true dragon great sage called Xiaoqing? Someone said. Many people knew about Xiaoqing's background. Because in the heaven realm, Xiaoqing fought for the old tortoise and made a name for himself. Of course, his fame in the human realm wasn't as great as it was in the heaven realm. Yeah, the teacher of this true dragon great sage is the son of the Tai Huang. Someone said something like that. In that case, doesn't that mean that this Xiaoqing is the grand disciple of the Tai Huang? His background is truly impressive. Many people were incomparably shocked. The Tai Huang was an invincible existence in the 9 heavens and 10 earths, shocking an entire era. However, the female from the Qin clan who was fighting against Xiaoqing had an extraordinary background as well. Is the Tai Huang's inheritance more powerful or is the Qin clan more powerful? Someone asked. Many people were curious. One must know that the Qin clan was known as an emperor clan. Perhaps, a heavenly emperor really did appear in this clan. The inheritance of a heavenly emperor wouldn't be any weaker than the Tai Huang. Because, heavenly emperors were paragons as well. At this moment, Xiaoqing and Qin Yarou started fighting. Rumble, the azure dragon claw tore apart the heavens and earth, grabbing towards Qin Yarou. A boundless true dragon aura erupted from the dragon claw, shattering the space. This was the innate ability of the dragon clan, the heavenly dragon claw. Bang! Qin Yarou stretched out her jade-like hand and pressed forward. A gigantic violet hand instantly appeared in the air, enveloping the entire space. Boom! A thunderous sound rang out. The azure dragon claw and Qin Yarou's violet hand collided, causing the entire space to tremble before collapsing. Even the chaotic qi was jolted out from the impact. 2 silhouettes soared into the air, moving with great speed. Bang! Boom! Beams of intense light flashed through the air like lightning. 2 supreme powers clashed unceasingly, causing thunderous sounds to echo out. This was the first time the bloodline of the Tai Huang clashed with an emperor clan in the current era. Many people wanted to know who was stronger between these 2 inheritances. Xiaoqing unleashed the battle techniques of the dragon race, fighting against Qin Yarou. At this moment, he didn't use his black rod, nor did he use the 9 secret arts of the immortal Tao. He wanted to fight against Qin Yarou with the identity of a descendant of the dragon race. As for the mystic skills displayed by Qin Yarou, they were equally astounding. Her long sleeves danced in the air, as though she was a female celestial lord dancing above the 9 heavens. Every single move of hers was extremely graceful, causing one to be dumbfounded. However, within this peerless dance was a peerless killing intent. Actually, this mystic skill of Qin Yarou's had the power to mess with one's mental state. Even Jiyu Ling and the others were looking at Qin Yarou in a daze, as though they were intoxicated. Even the Iron-Blood Daoist had to channel his mystic skill with all his might to defend against this power that could mess with one's mental state. Good fella. Xiaoqing was the first to bear the brunt of it. Naturally, he knew how strong it was. If he were to be struck by it, he would definitely suffer a terrible defeat. Therefore, he had no choice but to focus on controlling his mental state. Chapter 2897. It's true that the new generation excels the old. Who would have thought that the snake demon by Jiyu Fei's side would become a true dragon sage? A blurry figure shrouded in purple light said in the sky far away from the divine island. This person was the Violet Emperor who had shaken the soaring dragon ancestral star back then. When the Sky Bridge appeared during the Battle of Heaven Market, the Violet Emperor and a group of almighties from the mortal realm took the opportunity to enter the heaven realm. The Violet Emperor was an almighty of the Yuanxia immortal sect. After the passage between the mortal realm and the heaven realm was opened, he returned to the human realm. The current Violet Emperor was naturally extremely powerful. However, his return this time made him deeply moved. He realized that some of the young fellows from back then had grown up and become great figures that shook the heaven realm and the human realm. To be honest, as the strongest existence in the Yuanxia immortal sect back then, the Violet Emperor naturally didn't care about Jiyu Fei, Xiaoqing, and the others. In the past, his opponents were only the top powerhouses of the same era as him. Some of those people had fallen after entering the Heaven Realm, while others had obtained great fortunes and became experts who could look down on others. However, there were also some people who disappeared, such as the Xian Huang skeleton and the incarnation of the Millennium Buddha Lord. These top experts from back then had all disappeared. Of course, the Violet Emperor wasn't the only one who had returned from the human realm. There were also some experts who had entered the Heaven Realm back then that appeared in the void near the Divine Island. Their blurry figures emitted incomparably powerful auras. Rumble, at this time, Xiaoqing and Qin Yarrow were fighting. The heavens and earth were shaking. Rays of purple light pierced through the void and turned into peerless divine swords that pierced towards Xiaoqing. Xiaoqing was swept away by Qin Yarrow's sleeves and was sent flying. Qin Yarrow's sleeves fluttered like a peerless fairy dancing. She looked extremely graceful, but in reality, she was filled with peerless killing intent. Rays of purple light blossomed from her body and turned into a shocking sword rainbow. Buzz. A rumbling sound came from Xiaoqing's body. He pinched the ancestral dragon seal with both hands, and a green dragon immediately emerged from his body, roaring at the sky. The huge dragon seemed to have a life of its own. It directly stretched out its dragon claws and grabbed forward. The purple-gold sword rainbows that pierced through were all shattered by the dragon claws. Roar! The green dragon roared into the sky, then charged towards Qin Yarrow. The mighty might of a true dragon spread out from the dragon. It was as if a true Nine Heavens ancestral dragon had descended upon the world, and the energy fluctuations it emanated caused even Qin Yarrow to be visibly moved. Suddenly, a purple Dao flower appeared on Qin Yarrow's body. One by one, its petals blossomed, wrapping Qin Yarrow within. In the next moment, Qin Yarrow's silhouette disappeared. A phoenix cry that resounded through the 9 heavens rang out from the flower of the way. Endless power of the great path frantically gathered towards the flower of the way. An extremely powerful figure appeared in the Dao flower. Boom! The figure soared into the sky from the Dao flower and instantly collided with the azure dragon that was charging towards him. At the same time, the countless petals on the flower of the way all flew up and drifted towards Xiaoqing. The petals looked slow, but in reality, they were extremely fast. The flower of Dao. Xiaoqing was shocked. The seemingly harmless purple petals were actually the opponent's strongest killing move. Each petal contained the opponent's ultimate power of the Great Path. Swoosh! Xiaoqing turned into a beam of demonic light and quickly retreated. However, no matter how fast he was, the petals of the flower of Dao fell from the sky and enveloped him in an instant. Swoosh! A beam of bloody light appeared on Xiaoqing's body. A petal of the flower of Dao fell beside him and cut open a wound on his shoulder. Moreover, Xiaoqing was shocked to find that the wound couldn't heal after being cut by the petals. It was the same for great saints. Saintly blood seeped out of the wound. The petals fell, and Xiaoqing couldn't dodge at all. Just as he was about to be killed by the petals, scales that also emanated the power of the Great Path appeared on his body. In the blink of an eye, Xiaoqing transformed into a human-shaped azure dragon. 2 ancestral dragon horns grew out from his forehead and emitted an immortal divine light. The petals of the Great Path fell on Xiaoqing's body, producing a series of clanging sounds. The petals couldn't break through the layer of dragon scales on Xiaoqing's body. In the distance, all of the spectating sacred-level creatures were incomparably shocked. Little Qing and Qin Yarrow were just too stunning, especially Qin Yarrow, who gave off an unfathomable feeling. The Qin clan was indeed powerful. Some people were beginning to believe that there really was a supreme great emperor from the clan, but this supreme great emperor of the Qin clan was unknown to the world. Boom! With a loud rumble, the 9 heavens divine phoenix that Qin Yarrow had transformed into clashed with the azure dragon that little Qing had conjured. The might of the pure-blooded dragon and the might of the divine phoenix clashed. The power that erupted tore the heavens and cracked the earth, destroying the void. Seeing this scene, Gulling and the others in the sky were shocked. Xiaoqing was a great saint and the disciple of the old turtle, but he couldn't defeat the mysterious woman of the Qin clan. He dares to challenge the princess of our clan. His courting death. At this time, on a mountain peak in the distance, there were more than a dozen cultivators standing. The cultivator in the lead had a jade talisman floating above his head. The jade talisman emitted a hazy divine light that enveloped all the cultivators below. The cultivator in the lead was the chubby middle-aged man of the Qin clan. Who said it wasn't? Someone agreed. Our clan is about to come out into the world. It's time to show our strength. Don't you feel that the princess's ninth heaven phoenix technique is even more powerful? The chubby middle-aged man looked at the two cultivators fighting in the sky and sneered. In his opinion, Xiaoqing was just an unlucky guy that Qin Yarrow used to establish her dominance. Yes, the ninth heaven phoenix technique of our clan is absolutely invincible in the world. The so-called true dragon and white tiger are all bullsh*t, someone said. Roar. Just as the people of the Qin clan were bragging, Xiaoqing, who was shrouded by the petals of the great path, roared. An extremely overbearing power of the true dragon erupted from his body. The petals that were floating in the void immediately collapsed in the void, turned into the divine light of the great path, and then soared into the sky. The divine light of the great path directly entered the body of the ninth heaven phoenix in the sky. The power that erupted from the ninth heaven phoenix that Qin Yarrow had transformed into immediately increased. With a phoenix cry, the divine phoenix grabbed the azure dragon and tore it into two pieces. The azure dragon that Xiaoqing had transformed into immediately dissipated in the void. The purple aura on the ninth heaven phoenix soared into the sky, and a vague figure appeared on the divine phoenix. Chapter 2898. In the sky above the divine island, the battle between the great saints continued. Xiaoqing and Qin Yarrow displayed their respective abilities. Neither could truly suppress the other. However, in general, Xiaoqing was on the weaker side. He was in danger of being suppressed by Qin Yarrow. However, the combat strength displayed by the two experts shocked the spectators. Some people sighed. It was as if the new generation had surpassed the old. It had to be said that the combat strength displayed by Xiaoqing was much stronger than some of the old antiques. He had surpassed his predecessors. He, the new generation, had slapped the old one to death on the beach. Swoosh. After Xiaoqing scattered the petals of the great path, he shot up into the sky and came to the opposite side of the ninth heaven phoenix. The inheritance of the dragon clan is indeed extraordinary. Qin Yarrow's voice was heard from the ninth heaven phoenix. You're not bad yourself. Xiaoqing stared at the ninth heaven phoenix and said indifferently. The shadow of a dragon loomed on his body, emitting the aura of a true dragon. He confronted the ninth heaven phoenix. You're still not my opponent. Let's end this battle here. Qin Yarrow's figure was faintly discernible inside the ninth heaven phoenix. Although this phoenix was only a shadow, it was extremely real. It was as if a real phoenix had appeared in the world. This ninth heaven phoenix was completely condensed from the power of the great path emitted from Qin Yarrow's body. It was the embodiment of her power of the great path and the manifestation of Tao laws. Of course, in the present world, there were already figures of divine phoenixes and true dragons. And Xiaoqing himself was a true dragon. In this great era, some ancient creatures that had long been extinct had returned and reappeared in the eyes of the world. What? Xiaoqing was shaken when he heard this. He actually felt uneasy. Could it be that what he was worried about was true? One should know that Qin Yarrow was a princess, a descendant of an ancient supreme being. If this was true, then Qin Yarrow was definitely a super antique. Her cultivation was definitely not only in the great saint realm. The emperor clan had the inheritance of a supreme being. As a princess, how could Qin Yarrow's cultivation be so low? This was absolutely illogical. Even Xiaoqing himself did not believe it. Alright, if you want to set foot on the ancient road of the humankind, go ahead. We will not stop you. Qin Yarrow didn't wait for Xiaoqing to reply. The nine heavens mystical phoenix shot up into the sky and disappeared into the starry sky. At this time, the battle in the depths of the starry sky was still going on. Mad Oldman's demonic body and divine body were still fighting for dominance, wanting to fuse with each other. If the divine body fused with the demon body, then this great calamity would vanish without a trace, and there would be no more worries. However, once the demons fused with the divine body, an extremely powerful great demon would appear in the world, a great demon that was purer than the demons. This kind of demon was even more terrifying than a true demon. This was because this kind of demon only knew how to kill, and had no scruples at all. With the appearance of such a great demon, only the living beings of the world would suffer. Even the demons would be threatened because demons were also living beings and were the targets of this demon's devouring. Qin Yarrow naturally wouldn't allow such a thing to happen. She wanted to enter the starry sky and get rid of this threat. Xiaoqing was both shocked and angry. He was actually ignored by the other party. He wanted to chase after her, but after some thought, he stopped. Perhaps he really wasn't a match for this woman. Wait until I become a saint sovereign, then I'll find you for a battle. Xiaoqing muttered to himself. He clenched his fists and looked in the direction where Qin Yarrow disappeared. His eyes turned extremely sharp. It's over just like this. Far in the sky, Jiyu Ling, who was protected by the Iron Blood Daoist's Phoenix Calamity, felt a little disappointed because the outcome of this battle wasn't decided yet. Not only Jiyu Ling, but the others were also disappointed because the two experts still had their trump cards that they hadn't used yet. Just as Xiaoqing was in a daze, a beam of demonic light suddenly shot over from the sky. What? Xiaoqing was shocked. He reached out with his right hand and blocked the incoming demonic light. Within the demonic light was a demonic arrow that emitted a terrifying demonic aura. Someone was hiding in the clouds far away and was attacking Xiaoqing. Demons. All the experts in the sky were shocked when they saw this scene. No one expected that there would be a powerful demons hiding in the side, waiting for an opportunity to attack. Boom. The demonic arrow hit Xiaoqing's hand and exploded. A ball of demonic light instantly swallowed Xiaoqing. Within the demonic light, demonic inscriptions were faintly discernible. With a roar, a fiery light turned into a fire phoenix and rushed towards the direction where the demonic arrow came from. Boom! A cloud in the distant sky exploded. The true fire of the divine phoenix erupted, and a figure rushed out from the flames. Preposterous! The Iron Blood Daoist wanted to attack again, but at this moment, the figure directly shot an arrow towards the Iron Blood Daoist. A demonic light instantly shot in front of the Iron Blood Daoist. What? The Iron Blood Daoist was shocked and quickly activated the Phoenix Calamity in his hand. A ball of fire immediately enveloped him, Jiyu Ling, and the others beside him. Boom! With a loud bang, the demonic arrow directly hit the layer of light formed by the true Phoenix divine fire and exploded. The demonic light instantly enveloped the Iron Blood Daoist and the others. Jiyu Ling and the others were shaken. Fortunately, the fire light emitted from the Phoenix Tribulation had turned into a spherical light barrier that blocked the demonic light outside. Otherwise, they would have been in trouble. Roar! At this moment, a dragon roar was heard. Boom! An endless dragon's aura erupted and the demonic light that enveloped Xiaoqing was immediately shattered. A dragon shadow soared into the sky and rushed towards the demonic figure in the sky. The demonic figure was shocked. He quickly drew his bow and shot 9 arrows in a row. The 9 demonic arrows turned into 9 terrifying demonic lights and shot towards the huge dragon. The demonic arrows shot towards the azure dragon. This scene was extremely shocking. No one would have thought that the demons would attack Xiaoqing at this time. The azure dragon that Little Green had transformed into was extremely powerful. It directly smashed the 9 arrows of light and killed its way to the front of the demonic shadow. Its dragon claws directly clawed down and crushed the demonic shadow. Seeing this scene, the experts who were watching the battle from afar were very surprised. They never thought that the demonic figure would be so weak. An incarnation. Xiaoqing was also shocked. If an incarnation was so powerful, then wouldn't the real body of the demons be much stronger? Swoosh! While Xiaoqing was distracted, the demonic bow and arrow directly flew away. Preposterous! The huge dragon shadow dissipated and Xiaoqing's figure appeared in the void. Could it be that the demons in the devil's den are stirring again?